As we say goodbye to the Nintendo Switch era, we thought it was time to go back and rank every single main series Pokemon title on the Nintendo Switch. It seems like each one of these titles, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Sword and Shield, BDSP, Legends Arceus, and Scarlet and Violet, is controversial for its own reasons. We're going to be ranking all of these titles today and figure out what's at the core of each of these titles. And as we look towards the 10th generation of Pokemon and beyond, we'll be asking ourselves, what would the ultimate Pokemon game look like? Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. My name is DustyGogoat, and today I'm with the LumiosePost.
Hello.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
Let's get a temperature check. When we look back at the last 5 Switch titles, how are you guys feeling with this? What's our overall feeling with these titles?
I mean, overall, with the Switch, I think there's I don't want to say mid because I feel stronger than mid about it, but I do think that there's been a lot of things that like make me go like, dude, Pokemon is going places. But there have been some things that make me go, ooh, Pokemon, what you doing?
I think this era is just full of growing pains, you know? Sure. I feel like just for reference, I think
Pokemon hit puberty here.
Yeah, I think when we look back at the gold, like what a lot of people would consider to be the golden era, right? I feel like every era of Pokemon, every great era of Pokemon is usually at the tail end of the console and the technology that they're using to make these games, which is maybe normal, but also very frustrating as such a, for Pokemon to be such a massive and profitable company. I think overall, when we look at these titles, and I think we're gonna try to not make this the entire conversation. I don't think it will be, but it can be disappointing when these flagship games are just feel kind of rushed, right? In some ways.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say they were all rushed. I know people like to say
they weren't all rushed. I
think they made them on their schedule that they wanted. Like that's it. They weren't like, oh yeah, we gotta push it out. Maybe on one of those games.
Sure. Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, we'll get to it as we're talking about specifics, but I only feel like one of these games was rushed. Like, personally, there's only one of these that I feel like, this was rushed. I feel like the problems with other ones are like something else.
I don't feel that way at all. I think just based on like what we know about how Game Freak develops these games, it's like I think that they have the set 3 years that they do it, and they have like a plethora or like unlimited amount of ideas that they want to do, and they can't implement them all, but they still try to. But I think that's what happens. I think they want to fill it up with so much stuff, and then they're just like,
I would say depending on how you look at it, that could be the definition of rushed, right? They don't have enough time to do what they want to do, even though the ideas are good and golden. But
I agree, but at the same time, it's like they will never have enough time to do it. That's what I'm saying.
Not like
but
I'm not arguing that.
They'll keep having things that they want to put in, so it's just like you'll never get anywhere. So they just eventually have to cut it off at some point, and I don't think they have a good management of how or when to cut it off. That's basically
for listeners to kind of twist this back into a positive light, because I think I have a lot of fond memories with the Switch era Pokemon games. I'm excited. The tweet that I'm showing right now, this went super viral, and we figured Soul was advocating that this is something that the people want to see and that we're excited to talk about. I do want to say before you move on that I think that the DS era, the 3DS even, it was better than the Switch
era. Golden age, sure.
Yeah. I'm starting to think
that was when you asked the question, that was the only thing that came into my mind.
Sure.
It's just like comparably, it's like
But I do think, like I said, mid. Later. I think it's like I am overall positive about this. Just like you said, Soul, I'm not as positive as I was the 3DS era or the DS era.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think, if we haven't already said it, if you're wondering what these games are for the Switch, what we're qualifying today, we're only going to be talking about main series games, core series games. And this, I think we talk about growing pains. I think the fans have also had to adapt to what Game Freak considers or is putting in front of us as a core series game. I think a lot of things have been shifting, and we've had to almost make it make sense, which I'm usually open for. I think the patterns develop based on what has existed, but when things change, you got to change with them. So we got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. We've got Pokemon Sword and Shield. We've got Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. There's Pokemon Legends Arceus and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. These are the we're also including the DLCs, actually, of course. I think that definitely is.
Yeah, that's how I've been thinking, was like including when I'm talking about Scarlet and Violet, I will be thinking of Scarlet and Violet with the hidden treasure
in its whole entirety. You know, like
right.
Even like there's pictures of they released the versions with the DLC. You know, like that's the complete version.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's actually another thing that I've recently thought about, and this is still on topic. It's just I think there was a whole discussion about like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon being the best games and compared to other ones. And I'm just like, the third versions of Pokemon games are the perfected versions. And I really think that people don't like the first versions as much without the DLC, because the DLC is the third version. So when you put them together, like that's the perfected version. It's weird, but it's true. It's like, for me, growing up, I would just wait for the third version. I actually didn't. I didn't like to buy the first ones because I knew that the better one was coming out. Like it's the same game with better stuff.
You must have been very disappointed when they released Black 2 and White 2, and you realized you could have.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. but yeah. So like, you know, Diamond and Pearl. Like I bought Diamond, but once I played Platinum, I was like, yo, this is it. Like Diamond is nothing compared to this.
Yeah, so something else.
Like,
yeah,
it's weird.
No, I totally agree with you. I think something else. This is what I was thinking about before we recorded today. I was thinking about this when I was outside with the dog. I think something we should probably establish before we go into this is kind of like how we are ranking these, right? I don't think we are all going to rank these the same way. I think there's two ways to look at these games, right? Maybe there's probably a million ways to look at it, but I think listeners, I think probably you guys as well, are likely, I would imagine, going to rank these based on your overall nostalgia and your experience when the games came out. And this is why I'm thinking about this, Soul. I think the way I think I'm going to be looking at all of these games are how they hold up in the broader scope of Pokemon games in general. Are these games going to be worth going back to playing? Do they offer something unique? Because I think all Pokemon games have a sense of, for us at least, nostalgia, right? It's a point in our life when we have all these shared memories. There's wonder, there's adventure, there's all those things that are stuck in our brains and will never leave. But this year, during the gap year, or I guess last year, during 2024, where we didn't have a new Pokemon game, I've been able to replay some older games on the Switch, and I've started to appreciate them in different ways. And I think when I go back to these games in 5 years from now, that's how I want to look at these titles, right? Because as much as we want to complain about something or say, anyways, I just think a lot of the complaints that we end up with for each one of these titles, right? Every release cycle for any of these Pokemon games, there's going to be a whole wave of criticism, and oftentimes the criticism makes sense in the moment. But as soon as we are 2 years removed and have those complaints answered with a different type of experience or game, looking back at Sword and Shield, for example, now all of a sudden I think it's possible to appreciate it for what it is, and rather than the fact that it's not open world, rather than the fact that it's not this fully immersive game, right? Instead, I look at Sword and Shield now as actually like the best version of the 3DS era. It's just
that for Sword and
Shield. It's just an
though.
HD Pokemon game, which is actually kind of awesome. Right?
I will say that I think, to your point, I'm not going to talk about the games, but like I think what Lumi said earlier, like this was their puberty kind of thing, because it's the whole transition to 3D that has really messed them up, and not only to 3D but to consoles, to like console games, the big main console, what's the right word? Home
consoles.
Yeah. I think that is really what has been their hardest struggle, is to like adapt to it, because they were always sprite, always on handhelds, you know, like there wasn't as much going into it, and now they have like more power and more work to do, and it's just all of that added in makes
it's
it
literally it's pokey puberty, man. Their bodies are changing, they're having to learn things about themselves.
To say something positive, like you said at the beginning, you were like, the last games are usually the best ones on the system, and you know, we got Legends Z8 coming up, and maybe it'll end up being the best ones.
Yeah,
because it's like they've perfected it finally.
But I think
now that we're moving on to a new system.
but I think the difference, just for that, I guess for that line of thinking, when it comes to like the best game being the last on the console, I think really what it is, it's usually the last games on the technology. So I feel like Gen 4 and Gen 5 are so great because it's all building upon the pixel art era, which was a technology that had been developed for 20 years or whatever, 15 years. I feel like the 3DS, a lot of growing pains on the 3DS because that was new technology, and even though there's ways to make the games bigger, there's still limitations because it's not an HD game, right? And there's dual screen, it's proprietary, it's like a proprietary engine. And I think when we look at the Switch, again, a lot of growing pains as they continue to try to, you know, do and create ambitious titles. I feel like they're limited by the Switch console.
They are,
right?
They are for sure.
So
but that's not on them.
I'm looking at this. I think the overall theme is, I think a lot of these titles are, I think if we could sum it up, not generation, but like the Switch era of Pokemon games are experimental above all else, right? I remember there was a period of there in Gen 8 where they were doing all sorts of different things. Literally every single one of these titles offers something unique, right? Every single one of these titles offers something unique, and I think there's some value to that, right? You look back at older Pokemon games, and they're all the same formula. Every single one of these games is unique and offers something different, which I think is actually really special. Do you guys want to get into it, or do you have any memories that you want to bring up? From these eras?
You know, memories I think we should save for the specific games.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's a great note to end it on. Like, you know, for this part of the discussion. I you know, a lot of good, some bad, but
we're trying to be structured, guys. Okay,
we're trying
really hard. This is new to us, structure.
All right. So this is the tier list. We're gonna be doing this a little bit differently. Rather than ranking it like S tier to F tier, we're gonna try to rank these like in order, like from best to worst, 1 to 5. We'll see how it goes. Right? We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
I mean, I guess we do got to start from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, right? That's like the first.
Yeah, no, we should go in order, I think.
So Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is the first one. How we feeling on this game, guys? When was the last time you played this?
When did it come out?
2019 it came out, I'm pretty sure.
No, you know what? That's not true. I picked it up in 2021 to get me a Melmetal.
Nice.
Wow.
To send a sword.
Did you get Pikachu or Eevee?
I got Pikachu. My wife got Eevee. In fact, she did not have a Switch, so she actually has the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee limited edition Switch. Which the beautiful thing about marriage means that I now have a limited edition Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Switch.
Right. That's hilarious, but also it's really funny because it's ironic that it's a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee one for you.
But you know what? It's a cute little Switch. It is a cute little Switch. Like I even said, I don't know if we'll go into them, but that is something about Pokemon on the Switch is they actually have a good couple of limited edition Switches they did, and some of them are like certified bangers in my opinion. And the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee one's really cute. I will say,
I'm not a fan.
If anyone is watching this and has seen this show before, they may already know this about me. I am not fond of this game.
I would love to hear
Pokemon purist.
Yeah, I would love to hear you defend this opinion because I think it's a little overblown. I think it's turning into a meme.
I've seen a lot of people loving it when we posted this, right? I just saw so many people's lists, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were like second. You know.
So yeah, like, I want to hear from you, Zach. Like
I think
this is the time to air it out. Honestly,
look, I think to start on a positive note. Look at this. This is the prettiest Pokemon game on Switch, and if you told me it was the prettiest Pokemon game ever made, I would not be able to like argue with you. I don't know if I'd agree. I'd have to kind of look at it all, but I would have to go, that is valid. It is beautiful. That water, dude, look at that water. We're going over the water right now. For listeners, we're looking at water right now, and it's gorgeous.
It's
the movement,
HD Kanto.
Such a beautiful game.
And
however,
just to add to that,
one,
go ahead. I just think I think why this feels so good is because it's like a specific art style and they're sticking to it, right? I think a lot, and there's a polish. I also think Pokemon games, listen, as we've all grown up, there's a lot of edgelords in the Pokemon space. I feel like a lot of people nothing against edgelords, but I think a lot of gamers look at the more serious, edgy, like boy games, and they're like, this is so cool. Pokemon should be cool and realistic.
Call of Duty only.
Right? And I'm like, Pokemon can be fantastic.
I resemble those
Pokemon can be vivid and gorgeous, right? It can be colorful, and that's fine. I personally don't think Pokemon needs to be realistic, and we'll get into it later. I think as we go throughout the like this generation, the Switch era, there's all these like bids for realism, and I always come back to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, even Sword and Shield, and I go, this is how it should look.
As a not self-declared edgelord, I agree with you. Like, I totally agree with you. These games are so much better than trying to be real. Like, I don't need Pokemon to be real. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry I cut you off, Lumi. I just wanted to add to that.
No, I mean, but yeah, I think what you added is great. I 100% agree with it.
I agree with what you're saying. It's just that it's still like the same like blocky Kanto vibes that I don't love about it still. Like, if it was a completely original, that'd be in these like graphics and art style, I would be over the moon. But like, see, the colors in here are like really muted to me, and and then they're just block homes. I know it's just adapted.
Some of that up, like Cerulean, you notice like they give the roofs more personality. Like, not only are they blue roofs because Cerulean City, but also like you see they look like water, like it because it's the water city, so I appreciate that. I do wish, look, Kanto is the most dated region because it's the oldest region. It's no fault of anybody's. I'm not saying Kanto's bad.
Yeah.
But Pokemon usually makes a point to, when they're revisiting these regions, try to spice them up a little bit. Like, the greatest example I can think of is, whether you liked it or not, Mauville City is supposed to be the hub of the Hoenn region, and it did not look like it in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. But in Oris, I know some people don't really like the mall vibe, but they did their best to make Mauville a city you would remember.
Yeah.
And I kind of, because it was like, hey, this part of Hoenn's pretty bland. Let's put some spice in it. I wish they did that with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I felt like they were so... I think the thing that hindered this game a lot was
Let's Go Pikachu.
Two things, but the first thing was that they were so married to the idea of giving us that original Kanto feel that they gave it to us in areas where we didn't need it. Like, for one, not changing the region at all, like not spicing it up like they did in Oris with Hoenn. But also, too, even things like, dude, I'm sorry, Electivire has been a part of the franchise for 20 years now.
Me.
Not 20, but like 15. Elekid has been a part of the franchise for 20 years now. All this stuff, and you're telling me that I can't
add them. Just add them in, like all the evolutions.
It's a couple Pokemon. Well, and they even added the Alolan forms of the Kanto Pokemon,
and the Megas, right? The Megas were too.
Yes, Megas.
That's weird. Well. They give us Megas, but they don't give us them.
It's like because they knew they had to give something. They knew they had to do something, but they should have just put those in there too. I mean, people would have still complained.
All right,
it makes me feel incomplete when like I catch I used a Rhydon in this game, and I actually ended up trading it off my team for an Aerodactyl when I got to Cinnabar Island, because I was like, this feels incomplete because I cannot evolve my Rhydon. Like, I know it goes further, and the game is gaslighting me and telling me it doesn't.
You know what? Okay, yeah, I totally hear you. What you're saying is I think the cons of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are the fact that the world is identical. It is kind of a faithful remake, right? The world that you explore is pretty much a 1-to-1 remake. It's a grid-based world. It's a grid-based world, but you move in 3D, which can be really jarring. And at this point, it's like I think what we yearn for is with a remake is reimaginations of these Pokemon locations. I think the art style is great. I think a lot of the the actual art direction that they included in the Kanto region is great. But yeah, it just comes down to like wanting a 3D world like we get in Legends Arceus, right? Reimagining Sinnoh. So that's the major con. Another con is that, again, they purposefully restrict how we can play through. That might be another huge theme of the Switch era of Pokemon games.
Yes, that is.
Restricting the way that we can play throughout these games. And there's a lot of moments like that, not only with our Pokemon selection, but also like with the game being like, no, you have... Let's Go Pikachu, for example, specifically, you can only play this game with one-handed controller.
The worst part.
If you're playing this on the TV,
you can play it like this.
You on handheld, you can play it. Can play it. Yes, you can play it on handheld. But as an adult, I like to play on my TV. And the only way I can play on my TV is with a one-handed remote. Which is just crazy. I think is crazy. So that
is odd.
That's one thing when it comes to having customization over my experience. But also like the fact that like to enter like I think of like entering Brock's gym. To enter any gym, there's like a silly trivial thing that you have to do in order to progress, which is fine and not a problem.
Yeah.
But it can break the flow of gameplay where you're like, I don't want to catch an Oddish. No, go back and catch an Oddish. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Oh, fine, it's easy. I can do
Stop
it.
making me.
But it just kind of like it kind of breaks. I think the beauty...
It also too, a big theme that Pokemon players have been complaining about really since X and Y is difficulty. And another thing too is when you catch Pokemon, your Pokemon gain experience points. And if you're forcing me to catch a Pokemon to enter this gym, you are forcing my Pokemon to gain experience points. So you're running... I don't have control over my Pokemon levels, so I can't make it a challenge. Like, one thing I'll always defend X and Y about is at least the experience share you can turn off. Yeah. But with this, I can't, and you're telling me I have to raise them. And it's like, okay, well, I can't make it challenging. That is also another big complaint of mine, is that I appreciate that they were trying to mimic the Go style catching. I do, and I don't even hate the Go style catching.
It was really to bring in the people from Go as well.
Right.
Because the whole Go boom happened right before this.
And I can appreciate that, but I like feeling like I'm on a journey with these Pokemon and that I'm raising them. And the thing is, I catch a Pidgey, my Bulbasaur levels up, and now it's evolving into an Ivysaur, and it's not special. It's not this moment. Whereas, like, before, you'd have these moments where, like, right before Brock and Fire Red, I'll never forget it, right before Brock, I defeat the girl right, like, before you battle Brock in his gym.
It's actually
and
a boy.
Charmander.
His name is Camper Liam, and I'll never forget that.
Okay, well, there you go.
And he's got a Sandshrew and a
Diglett. But when I defeat Camper Liam, Charmander learns Metal Claw. Suddenly, I'm not screwed in this rock. Like, those moments mean something. Like, Charmander beat this Diglett, and now knows Metal Claw. And they don't give you moments like that. And I feel like...
I don't know if they don't give you moments like that. I don't know if that's fair.
Because the only... Like, whenever you battle a wild Pokemon, it goes straight to the catching thing. And it's so weird, too, because when you battle the legendary birds and Mewtwo... You battle them, and then it cuts to the catching thing when you're catching them. And it's like, why couldn't you have given me this?
Done that for everything.
For all the Pokemon.
Yeah. I guess I mean, listen, I kind of agree with you guys, but also I think where I'm trying to just, like, remind us that, like this is a one-off game. This is a one-off specific game. I don't think this game is
we didn't know that.
And we didn't know that
at the time. I know, but we know that at the time.
Masuda was like, if it was successful, then it wasn't going to just be a one-off,
Mm-hmm.
But it was not as successful.
Yeah, because they're just trying things. I think
one-off or not, if if there's something I hate about it, I'm gonna tear into it. You know?
Yeah, that's fine. But I think what is important to remember is that like these different Pokemon games trying different things is not inherently bad. I don't think Let's Go Pikachu
if it is bad though.
It is if it's not, as if it's a failure, you know?
Right. Like, I'm not going to, you know, sit here and say, you know, oh,
this was good.
They tried this feature and everyone hated it. But you know what? They tried a new thing, so
that's literally what I'm saying. I think there's value in
Ah.
trying new things. If you never want to play this game again, you don't need to
There's
play it
value.
again. But I think, like, I guess what I'm saying is, like, for some of these things, I would like to meet some of these games where they're at. I think when these games came out, it was especially Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I bought my Switch in the hopes for a new Pokemon game, and then lo and behold, we get this thing, which at the time felt like a waste of my time and money. I played it. I'm like, okay, great. Now there's nothing else to do for another year. But guess what? That was 5 years ago. Now it's just a unique Pokemon experience that's official. Right, that did offer a lot of new things.
You have to judge it on both, though. Like, yes, keep in mind what you just said. Now, how it feels, but also how it felt when you first got it. Like, I literally was the same.
I think it was fun.
Excited to get it because I was like, it's a new Pokemon game. I'm like, I've been waiting for so long for a new Pokemon game. But once I got it and played it for like, I don't even know, a week, I was like. It was fun for like a few minutes, and then I was like, "This catching is so hard, like so dumb." And
you thought it was hard?
It is hard. It's so doesn't work. And then,
that sounds like a skill issue.
I didn't have that problem.
That sounds like a skill issue. So it's like
I had an issue with it. I was like, "This is dumb." Yeah, but I don't know. I just didn't want to put that much effort into trying to do this, and I don't get to battle or trying to catch my Pokemon. Anyway, I think it's terrible. I think that's terrible, and I played about halfway through. I think I got to Koga's gym, and then I sold the game. The first
you
Pokemon,
sold it?
I sold it.
God.
It was the first Pokemon game mainline that I've ever sold. Ever.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like,
Damn.
I hate this. And I sold it.
I will say, I never
did you just think it was boring?
It was trash. It was so
I never
bad.
finished it. I got to the Elite Four, and my Pokemon were like so over leveled that I was like, you know what, this isn't fun. I just tore through Victory Road, and I'm not having a good time. I was like, I don't need to take on the Elite Four because I know I'm going to tear through them.
Yeah.
So I'm just done. And then I picked up Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and continued playing that for the next one.
All right. Well, I can't. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like I now, like you said, looking back at it, I want to reacquire this game and play through it, because back then the way I play Pokemon games is I try to catch like all the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Sure. But I've realized with remakes like BDSP, which we'll get into, I decided I'm not going to try to catch them. I'm just going to catch my team and just run through the game with my team, and that's it. But that's
the thing, right? It depends on what kind. I think it matters. I think the way we meet the game matters.
Yeah. See, but now I look at it and I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do these battles. It's just the whole catching thing was so bad. It was so bad. Most people agree. Like most people agree that it was not fun.
Yeah, but just because most people agree doesn't mean it's a good opinion, because I think a lot of people get their opinions from stupid idiots like us on YouTube who have an opinion who then repeat an opinion, right?
I don't think any
and you guys are allowed to dislike it. That's fine. Yeah. Because I also think it's aggravating. I also think it's a little aggravating, but okay, this is my point. This is my point. I think Pokemon, the magic of Pokemon, this is my point. Both of these things are true. The magic of Pokemon as a kid is the ability to have choice and to have control over your experience, over your adventure. When you're a kid, you don't have a lot of control, right? Maybe you have a lot of like time, but you don't have a lot of freedom. You're a kid. You have to go to school. You have to listen to your parents. You don't have a lot of control over most things. And when you enter Pokemon specifically, you have agency. You can do whatever you want in this game. You can get crushed by the end. You can never make it to the Elite Four, or you can grow and adapt, train your team, get rewarded for that, become stronger. You can do anything you want. And I think Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, just like a lot of Switch era games, have a symptom, which is that they don't allow you full control in the same way that older Pokemon games always did. I think that's really why a lot of these games get under our skins, right? But on the flip side of that, But on the flip side of that, looking back, they're not so aggravating if you just look at it like, okay, well, in Let's Go, you can't battle the Pokemon, the wild Pokemon. You have to catch them. But if I want, and here's the thing, I do like the art style, but at the end of the day, if I want to play through Kanto, I'm playing Fire Red, right? So that game is always available to me. That game's always available to me.
I think that's my point for why this game is going to rank low for me.
Sure.
Because I'm going, okay, if I want to play a Kanto game, because I have replayed Kanto since this has come out, and just like you said, Dusty, I've grabbed my little Game Boy here, and I played Fire Red. I played a 20-year-old game over the 5-year-old game.
Yeah. But and I think that's why I'm that's why I don't have as much of an issue with this game. I'm telling you, the thing that is most annoying is that I can't play the game with both controllers, like an actual controller. That is actually the most annoying thing. I don't care about catching. I think I just look at all these things as like a quirky option to Fire Red and Leaf Green, or to Red, Blue, and Yellow. People complain about the fact that there's so many Kanto games and we don't need another Kanto game. And I'm like, this game did something different with the Kanto formula. It's not what we wanted, but I'll tell you this, I used to bring this up a lot. My niece, this was her first game on Switch. She loved the heck out of this thing. She would take the controller and she would try to catch her Pokemon with the motion controls, and she loved the heck out of that. And she had her stupid little Eevee, just right, and it had a little costume, and it was her best friend. And I remember she found a Pharaoh and thought it was a legendary Pokemon. I think I can appreciate this game for a lot of things that doesn't really have to do with the fact that the game is good. Like, I can appreciate it for the fact that it's a Kanto game on Switch, and that new generations have now an access point to the same things that I had an access point growing up. But I'm just trying to. If I'm looking at all the angles, I agree with you guys. But also,
I gotta say though, so two things. The first thing is basically what we were talking about. This is the same problem with BDSP. Is that it's too faithful of a remake to be like, it's faithful of a remake, but then they take away or add things that aren't like the original, so you just want to play the originals.
Totally,
that's a problem. That's a big problem.
But that's from our perspective. Because we've played the originals.
Right, but I'm ranking it from my perspective.
Totally. That's fine. Yeah.
Listen, that leads to my second point, which is that what you're saying is this game was made just for kids. And I'm saying just for kids because most mainline Pokemon games are for kids and adults. But they should have marketed this as like, this is for, the younger audience. I don't know how to market it that way, but you know what I mean? Like, this is more...
Maybe they didn't either.
Or that.
Because, I think they kind of did. I think they kind of did.
As older Pokemon fans, or just anyone over the age of 7, could be like, man, this is hard or dumb, or, this isn't like Pokemon that I've played before, or, you know what I mean? All of that is in effect here.
I
do have a positive thing to say whenever we move on.
I have one more negative to say as well.
Yeah, go for it.
We should do positives and negatives. I kind of like that. No, I think I was going to say I have a memory of, because listen, all these things change. I remember when this game was announced, people were like, well, what the heck? No one wants. People were excited, and then they were like, no, we don't want this. It looks stupid. And then I remember when the game came out, I saw so many reviews of open-minded people who made content, who were open-minded at least, right? There's always, some people hate to say they're wrong, but who were like, I didn't think I was going to like this, but I'm playing it. It's a simple Pokemon game. It looks nice. It's a fun game to have on the Switch. I like this. It's silly. Like, it's fun, right? But I think, again, this is something, and listeners, reflect at home, right? How do you play a Pokemon game? Because I think this is all going to affect how we rank all of these titles, obviously, right? Like, I like to replay the game. It's twofold. I either start a new game and I play through the game, and then that's it, and that's like my nostalgia. Like, I get to like relive the experience. Or usually for when the game is the primary game, I put 500 hours into it, and it's all post game, shiny hunting and exploring, and if it's for whatever. And there's none of that post game stuff in Let's Go. And I think Let's Go left such a sour taste in our mouths because there really wasn't a lot of post game other than the shiny hunting.
Oh, that's a whole other thing. There was no post game, and that was terrible.
Ooh, yeah.
How would you even know? You sold the game.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I just am like, I don't want to play this, especially when there's nothing to do afterwards.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The only post game was like collecting Mega Stones, getting Mewtwo, and then battling like a trainer with the same Pokemon. Like you do like Caterpie versus Caterpie.
Yeah, I think shiny hunting was a big post game thing for me. The shiny hunting was fun,
and the shiny hunting is good on here. That's something I'll give it credit for. Is that a lot of the times when you see a streamer shiny hunting, they're shiny hunting on Legends Arceus or this.
Yeah,
yes,
and it's because the Pokemon appear in the overworld, right?
That's one of the positives. Is the whole it goes back to what it looks like, but also like them being in the overworld and you seeing it, and you see the shiny. You see the shiny in this game.
Yeah, the shinies appear in the overworld.
Yeah, it's overworld. In fact,
can we talk about how awesome the ride...
It doesn't make a noise, but it's got like a special aura around it too.
Can we talk about how awesome the ride Pokemon are?
That was my
that
positive.
was a big positive.
That was my positive that I was going to say earlier. Like the two things for me in this game that are amazing is the art style and just the overall like graphics of it all, and the ride Pokemon are incredible. Yeah, the ride Pokemon are how it should be. I mean, other than you being able to ride every single Pokemon, this is like, if they're going to force you to ride some, these are the best way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like they picked a good batch too.
Yeah. But it's how they do it, though. It's like creative and fun. And
like hugging the Snorlax while he's walking.
Yeah, I think the ride animations in this are really cool because it's the only time, like the only way to see those animations are if you capture and invest in those Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like a lot of other following Pokemon, a lot of other games that have that feature, it's just like the party. It's like a static party sprite that's not even like following you properly.
We should probably rank it soon.
I have
do this for each one.
I have two more negatives to say.
Right,
the first one I admit is really nitpicky. I wasn't going to bring it up, but just to be honest and transparent, I want to mention
Trace sucks.
This isn't even
Trace
sucks. That's I have three things to say. First is Trace sucks. That was not one of mine, but you're so right.
He sucks.
Why does he suck? I don't even remember him.
Dude, he would you'd bat. Keep in mind you're coming from Fire Red, where and this is really, I guess, really a critique of Pokemon Rivals overall.
It is.
But in the modern age, with some exceptions, I think Bede was good. I also think Nimona is a great example of a positive
great.
rival.
They came back. They came back with Nimona.
But anywho, Trace is literally he's like, will you please beat me in battle? Versus Blue is like, I'm gonna kick your butt, and you're like, no, you're not gonna kick my butt, Blue Oak. But with this guy, he's literally like, please beat me in battle. And when you're done, he's like, thank you so much for beating me ruthlessly. Here's 7 max revives. And it's like, dude.
All right, I got some more positives. So let's rattle off these negatives.
Two, again, this is probably more of a critique of modern age of Pokemon. Safari Zone Erasure. I'll never get behind it.
That's valid.
I'll never get behind it.
That's valid.
But that's not something that this game's not the first to do it. So,
Yeah. Just kind of
and
a
then
sign of the times.
3, I have 2 words for you both.
What?
Batty bad.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I think it's fine. I think it was cool that they made the starter Pokemon, Pikachu and Eevee, to overcome that they're not final stages. They just
I agree.
Give them a power up, and you can customize it, and it's your best friend, and it has they have all these crazy moves, and they give them all the HMs.
Yeah, but did they have to name the move Batty Bad?
It's what dark type move would you give an Eevee?
I don't know. Honestly,
you know what'd be cool if they reflect the evolutions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
moon,
if it was
Moon Pulse.
Yes.
Or something.
Yes.
That would be pretty cool.
Like Moonshade or something,
Yeah.
But no, they unironically went with Batty Bad, Buzzy Buzz, Splishy Splash, Floaty Fall, Glitzy Glow. Come on.
So a positive that I think Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee have, and this is kind of, I guess, maybe, I mean, you got to give it to the game. I think this would have happened no matter what Kanto remake we would have gotten, but I love how this is just understated, and I think not enough people appreciate this. We kind of take it for granted. But I'm showing an image right now or a video of your character talking with Mina, who's a character from Alola, and there's so many moments with the characters specifically. All the characters have new designs. You find there's all sorts of new stories with these other characters. You get to battle Trainer Red. You get to battle Trainer Blue. Trainer Leaf, or what's her name, Green.
Yeah.
You get to battle all of these legacy characters from Kanto who weren't actually available to battle. You couldn't even, I mean, I guess you could battle them in Gen 2. I think what I love about Pokemon games...
Not her, not Mina.
Yeah, not her.
Who?
Leaf. You couldn't battle Leaf. And,
yeah, exactly. You couldn't you can't battle Mina, you can't battle Leaf. And I think what I love about Pokemon games is when I play through them, there is evidence, there's artifacts in the world that remind me as a player that there are other things going on in other regions. There's characters living their lives without me, whether I'm playing the game or not, right? When I'm playing through Sunny Shore City and I see Jasmine just like chilling on the beach, I go, I know who that is. She's from Johto. So Johto existed in this world. I want to feel this interconnected world.
Agree.
And there's a lot of moments like that in this game. Oh, even canonizing Team Rocket, Jesse and James. How cool is that? How cool is that?
Also, the leader of Team Rocket in Gen 2.
Yes, dude.
I forget his name. Archer, I think.
I think it's Archer. There's an admin in Gen 2, like one of the Team Rocket admins.
He's basically like the leader.
Yeah, in Gen 2. And he obviously doesn't show up in like the other Kanto games, but they canonized him. They included him in this game. Anyways, I think that does a lot for me, and I think we don't appreciate it. To go back to a point that we actually, and then we got to move on, but that we never actually discussed, that I think will also show up in BDSP, is the fact that Lumi, you were saying that like it's annoying that you can't evolve your Pokemon, and I'm totally with you, man. I think Kanto, the original Kanto experience in Generation 1 is what it is, right? And then we get a remake in Gen 3, and they do the same thing where you can't evolve your Pokemon. At least not in the main story. And you can, I guess, in post-game. You can eventually get a Scizor in post-game.
It's worse than that because they'll, like, taunt you with it. I remember I had a Golbat, and it was like, what? Your Golbat's evolved? And I was like, dude, I'm about to get a Crobat. Because, I'm a young Pokemon fan. Yeah, and I'm a young Pokemon fan, so I'm like, I've seen the anime. I know Crobat exists. Yeah. And I'm about to get a Crobat. And it goes like, what? Golbat's evolving. That's like, wait,
every time
never
you level
mind.
up. Every time
like
you level
it literally goes like, wait, it's not.
Yeah,
it's like, dude,
it's evolving.
You know?
They did it totally on purpose then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh wait,
I think it was like the tease, like, hey, try doing this later.
Yeah.
But it's like, you can't do that to me. That's so mean.
So that's Fire Red, but in this game, even though they're not taunting you with an evolution, you can just never get Electivire. You can never get Magmortar. You can never get Scizor, and even a game called Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you can't even get its other evolutions. I think there could have been so many. And
that
I think,
was so dumb.
And you know what?
Oh
I don't think I would have cared that much if this game, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, didn't also have regional forms and megas, and they included all of those, but they didn't actually include the raw evolutions. I think if this game included all of just like the standard evolutions that we just assume are just the evolutions now, all the cross-gen evolutions, right? Mm-hmm. There's a Magneton on the screen. Why can't I get Magnezone, right? If they included all of those, I don't think this game would have gotten as much hate. But again, this is an example, and we're gonna move on now. I'm starting to think the theme is that they just limit the control over our gameplay experience, which I think is a foundational pillar.
On that
of
note,
the Pokemon
I really
experience.
don't love having to keep Pikachu and Eevee like with us all the time because I don't like either of them, and I'm just like forced to keep them.
Yeah, but
I hate them. I'm just like, get away from me.
Yeah,
that's really a thing.
Dude, I'm telling you, these are my favorite pod moments. Is like when Dusty and I are like talking about something. And, like, it's pretty logical. And then Soul just comes in and is like, I kick puppies. And it's like, dude, what?
I just get Pikachu and Eevee away from me.
Yeah.
Can't even evolve the Eevee. Get away.
Classic SoulSilverArt.
But, you would have liked it if Nebby could have been your little buddy on your shoulder, right? No? What about Necrozma?
You would have liked it if Ultra Necrozma could sit on his shoulder.
That's much better.
Yeah, I think that's an issue of taste, I think.
Where are you ranking it?
But batty bad.
All right.
Also, though, you're saying that's a question of taste, but I'm forced to keep them. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
No, I get
I don't
you.
want to keep.
You're not forced to keep them in your party. just on your shoulder.
I'm forced to keep
Hey,
them.
he doesn't even want to look
them.
at it. He doesn't even want to look at it.
I'm forced to keep looking at them and playing with their hats and stuff like that, giving them hairstyles. I don't want to do this.
All right, I'm gonna. I don't even have a proper ranking. I'm just kind of doing it in my head right now.
Put it in 4.
I was gonna put it in 4 as well.
5.
You put it in 5. Oh,
it's
I'd
5
put it
for
in
me.
4.
All right,
we'll get to it when we
so
talk about
it goes to 4.
the rest. But yeah, it's 5 for me. So
right.
That's fine. We already talked about it, but you guys win. Yeah. We'll see where it ends up. At the end, we can do a little.
Yeah, we can reshuffle. Oh, you know what? Actually, this game sucks. I'm putting
after we all present our cases or whatever.
Right. Yeah. How about this? Let's lead the next one with where we think it should be ranked, and then we'll tackle our reasons why.
Literally the opposite.
Oh, is that? I was reading your text.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't matter.
What's next is Sword and Shield, and this is good. I'm excited to talk about this because I actually
with the DLC
because I've been playing it right now. Not with the DLC, but I've been playing a lot of Sword and Shield in 2025. I feel like I want to rank this. I feel like I don't know. It's either 2 or 3 for me.
I put it at 2.
You put it at 2?
I put it at 2.
Oh my god. I'm gonna put it at 2 just because I'm gonna ride the hype. That's exciting.
For me, it's 1. It's number 1.
You think it's number 1?
I will say, I put it in number 1, but then I moved it down to 2 for a reason that I'll get to when we get to our number 1.
I think there's a couple ties.
It's so
in
close.
Here. I think there's a couple ties.
It's so close.
It's
literally for me, it is like my 1 and 2 are right here. My 3 is like here, and then my 4 and 5 are like way down here. You can't even see them, you know?
Yeah, the mainline ones are all like kind of very close to each other, right? But I think that Sword and Shield takes the charm of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and applies it to like a new generation. Do you know what I mean? It has that same kind of cartoony feel and makes it a little more realistic and puts it in there. So the art style is peak. The characters are peak. The Pokemon are peak. Like I love all of that stuff in Sword and Shield. Obviously it has its issues too, but I think it's still a Pokemon game through and through. So it's, you know, I put it at number 1. I think I tweeted this a million times. The main issues that it has is it has terrible route design and it has a bad story. So bad story and terrible route design. Everything else I love about it. Maybe the wild area is a little lame, but that's about it.
And you know what? Like on that note, like of the story, because it has a god awful story.
What is the story? Because I'm kind of just.
Exactly my point.
Spoilers for everyone.
Spoilers
for everyone. The story is really short and lame.
Because I think
not spoilers for everyone. This game's been out for a while.
Yeah.
If you don't know it, you're asking for it. The story. The issue with the story is that it really kind of all takes place at the end, and it's very rushed. Like it is. There's kind of not really much hints to like Eternatus and stuff until all of a sudden at the very end, Rose is just like, oh yeah, no, I'm worried about Galar in 1,000 years, so I'm gonna summon Eternatus right now. And then
it doesn't make any sense.
Well, save it. And
so here's the thing.
Like, it's kind of, it feels like Pokemon built a really cool, like I feel like Pokemon forced the story here, and it's like honestly, I would have been satisfied if the story was just I'm just going through gyms, and there's the stuff with Bead and kind of that drama.
Honestly,
or whatever.
that's kind of cool.
But
it is all good. It's all good until the end. Actually, I mean, like you feel the whole epicness of this. What we're watching, like doing stadium battles, was so cool, and that's part of the story technically. And like it was all good,
sure.
and like they were building up to something with Bead, you know. And then you get to like Marnie, and you're like, oh, this might be good, and then nothing for Marnie, really almost nothing for Bead. I mean, you get some, but it's just they kind of just at the end
they kind of rush it. There's not really like it feels like they made a really good game and then they went, oh crap, guys, this game's coming out next year, we got to put a story in this,
so so I'm still playing the game right now. I think I just beat the Dark Gym, which was, what is that, like 6 or 7, the 7th gym leader. So I'm getting pretty close to about what you guys are talking about. That's where I got to last night. And a couple things here. I think going back, playing this game again, knowing where it ends up, like where the end of the story ends up, I think there actually is a lot of foreshadowing about.
I agree.
What's his name?
There's foreshadowing.
Whoever
but not
the CEO is.
Not
like I think there's
I
a lot
don't
of
want
logical
foreshadowing though. I want direct setup. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sure.
It's also not logical. I think that's the hardest part about it. It's just like bro, why are you doing this? There's no reason. And you just take like this turn of like you're
but I
evil.
think no, but I think
but you're not. But
it's
you are.
it's not evil. It's more like he has an ego and he wants to. I feel like he wants to. I feel like kind of an Elon type, a little self-importance, right? He wants to be the changer of the world, right?
Yeah, but they don't tell you all of that. You just
but
like
they kind of do. No, because
I don't know.
I'm reading some of the dialogue with what is even his name? Rose, right?
Bede? Oh, Rose.
No,
Rose,
not Bede. Rose. Rose is like the bad guy, right? And so Rose is talking all about how he's talking about the future. He's talking about what came before. He's talking about like there's something going on, right? I think there is stuff going on. I do think the action. I think what you guys are identifying is the action of, or the actual gameplay of fighting the bad guys, which I agree with you. That comes out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
literally
right
like, at the end. But I think
like the setup. I don't foreshadowing and setup are two different things. You know what I mean?
I think they're kind of. I think they're kind of the same.
I agree with you guys.
I think both are
it
important.
was executed poorly. That's all. Like
So,
the idea was there.
yeah.
It's just poorly done.
So whether I'm right or wrong, I do think both of like what we're saying is no different from any other Pokemon game. I think what we're talking about is exactly the same as the Generation 4 plot.
That's true to an extent. This is just
the Generation 5
version.
the Generation 5 plot, the Generation 6 plot. I think
Yeah,
7 and 2 are a little bit different.
Back up. Are you hating on the Gen 5 plot?
I think the Gen 5 plot, literally you get to the Elite Four in a castle in city is resurrected out of the ground the same way that Palpatine does so in Episode 9 of Star Wars. It literally is like comical. It's comical. It comes out of nowhere.
I can get that, but like
it comes out of
that's
nowhere.
One bit in an overall great story.
Somehow the castle returned.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, so I say that not as necessarily a bad thing, but I think replaying Sword and Shield, like I'm realizing it's just an HD Pokemon game, and it's kind of beautiful. And I think again,
it is.
Again, I watched a couple reviews prior to this conversation to kind of get a gauge on what people were thinking at the time, and it matches up with what I was thinking at the time. I think at the time, right, Switch. I think there was a promise by Game Freak and Nintendo. Right, they were like, okay, great, you got a Switch. Wait 2 years, and you'll have your first console Pokemon game. Mm-hmm. And I think at the time, Game Freak, Nintendo, already late to open world games. That's what people hungered for. And I think when this game came out, Sword and Shield, people were comparing it to what it was not. People were sick of the prior Pokemon experience. They wanted something new, and there was no signs that we were ever going to get that. And I think
the wild area was,
but
that's
a little
bit,
but
world.
It's not. And I think going back, the wild area.
I'm just saying that was a sign. That was a sign.
Sure. Yeah, it was a little, but
it was a late sign.
I think it only is.
But the reviews that I was watching, I think when people saw the wild area, they saw that as like a poor excuse. It's like too little, too late. I think there was a long gap before this game, and then I think people just weren't appreciating it for what it is. Looking back with Legends Arceus and Scarlet and Violet, it's easy now to look at this, and I don't know, man. We talk about, I don't know, man.
No, that's the whole point of this episode.
I think this game is gorgeous. This game is absolutely gorgeous.
So gorgeous.
That's what I was saying. It took the charm of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee in a way, and in its own way, right?
Yeah.
It's still just magical though.
And can I just say too? First off, I want to say, just when we were kind of hating on the story a little bit, I will say too, I'm not playing Pokemon for story, so like even though the story
I'm not
bad,
really either.
That doesn't take off a lot for me because I'm not expecting a big story. But
there's a little bit of story that you still need to like hold it all together.
Yeah, there's still, if you're gonna do a story,
the story
I am gonna hold you to a certain standard.
Yeah,
it's just for Pokemon, it's gonna be a lower standard than maybe other things.
Yeah.
But I do think that with this game, you're talking about, Dusty, the like criticisms and people comparing it to what it's not. Man, I will never forget.
That's his whole era, dude. That literally is the entire Switch era.
Forget it was in June, early June, and that trailer comes out for Sword and Shield where it goes here comes a brand new world. Everybody remembers that one, right?
Yep.
Dude, to this day, in my opinion, best Pokemon trailer of all time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I mean, I'll get goosebumps to this. I got like a little chill down my spine.
Seeing Dreadnought.
No joke.
It's only compared to when the DLC trailer dropped for this. Do you know what I mean?
The DLC was really good
because I was like freaking out over that one, next level.
Well, and I think that was because it was like DLC had never been done before either, you know.
Yeah, but everything in it too.
Yeah,
like
it was good.
Birds and everything.
Yeah, so let's.
I do think
we gotta talk features.
I say this to say, I think because you can't talk about Sword and Shield without talking about this. I remember that trailer coming out. I remember everybody's reaction. I remember everyone was overwhelmingly positive for this game. No one was saying nothing about no trees. A week later, Junichi Masuda sits on stage.
Yeah, man, this is what I'm talking
E3,
about.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
But Junichi Masuda sits on stage at E3 and says,
yeah, E3 died, not
Masuda. E3 died.
I did think that as well.
I was like, what are you saying?
Who's gonna die?
No, E3's dead. But he says that in this game, there will not be all the Pokemon in this game, but I do promise that fan favorite ones will be there.
Yeah.
And I didn't care one bit.
That is the moment where I had not seen a single thing. But later that day, I'm telling you, man, all of the internet was, look at this tree. It's PlayStation 1 quality, you know?
I think there was a little bit of...
wanted everything to hate.
Yeah. There was a really big reaction to... And again, we talk about growing pains, right? We talk about limiting freedom of play. The Nat Dex, huge aspect of that, which I think, again, at the time is a bigger issue than looking back now when we have a plethora of games where we can use all of our different Pokemon, right? You can use Leave Annie on a Switch game now, right? Like,
can you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking,
but it wasn't,
weird.
And it wasn't since Gen 7, so it hadn't been since the titles in 2017 or whatever, right? So I think, anyways.
Only ones missing now are Patrat, the Elemental Monkeys, and Furfrou, I believe.
And who cares about any of those?
And Furfrou's confirmed to be in the next one, so.
That's true.
So just Gen 5 ones are left.
So I think, I think there was a lot of big reactions to the promises that Game Freak had offered and didn't follow up on. And a lot of the press, a lot of the bad press ended up really just being a reaction to kind of lies that Game Freak were using as excuses, you know?
The high quality animation thing.
I'm just loving Eternatus right now. But yeah, I totally agree. And that whole situation sucked because of the fandom. Yeah. Like, to me, when Masuda announced that, I was like, whatever. I don't care. Like,
see, I wasn't.
No, yeah, I
only use new Pokemon. I only use new Pokemon in my playthroughs.
Sure.
So does not affect me at all.
Okay,
until later on.
And this is the thing, Soul. We always
later
talk about
on
this.
When I wanted to use Necrozma, Ultra Necrozma. You know, like later on when I was like, this is my favorite Pokemon, and I can't use it ever.
Yeah.
You know, that sucked. But that's one Pokemon. Like, I can get over it. You know, it's not a big deal to me personally.
Yeah, so, I do think. I don't know. I was upset about it when it happened. I was not like. I certainly wasn't angry because I think Dusty, I know that you get timid around the subject, but I think it's worth talking about how far some people went. They were receiving death threats, and I am sorry,
but they do all the time.
There is no yeah, but it was like really bad then. Like, it is like a core memory of mine being on Twitter and seeing Junichi Masuda respond to someone and say, "It is my birthday. Can you please just not today?" Like, that is how bad they exhausted that.
That's so messed up, to be honest.
It was.
Really
it's horrible. It's horrible.
They said it even though about like the anime, like getting rid of Ash. Like in the Terra League, they were like, "Yeah, we'll get death threats." Like it's a common thing that happens. Unfortunately,
it is. But it was. I do think it was like
messed up,
so blown out of proportion in this instance, like more than any other, arguably.
For sure,
I was upset about it, but I did kind of like. I got over it. Like, it did not kill my excitement for the game. It just kind of made me worry about the longevity of the game. Like, it made me worry about, because like you said, I'm using new Pokemon when I'm playing through this game, but I did kind of worry. Okay, but a month later,
the
you know,
the thing is that I think it adds something to all new mainline games, and you instantly felt that when the DLC came out. So
I agree.
I'm thinking about the whole thing in its entirety when I'm ranking it number one, because the DLC made it top for me.
Yeah.
Before that, I probably wouldn't have ranked it that high. But it's like the DLC, you get not all of them, but a bunch of your favorites back, and you get to use them. It's not like you're going to use more than. That's another thing, is like people want all of them, but you're not really going to use all of them. You're really not going to use it.
Yeah.
You'll have a team of 6. Okay?
And that's,
you can do
that's definitely
12
fair.
or 24, but you can have 24 Pokemon out of 400 or 500. Like,
that's definitely fair, but it's like, I don't know.
It adds something to it, though, doesn't it? Like, you get to like be like, oh, is my favorite in this time?
No.
It does, but it does make you wish that the DLC would bring them back all in. Like when they're done with the game, if you could have them all, that would be really cool.
But that's
I'm
what
over
it
now,
was.
having
it's like
been like 5 years later, 6 years later.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lumi. I feel like it's like when you play through a Pokemon game, no, I'm not injecting all of these like these old Pokemon into the new game. I'm playing through it the way I would normally play through it. But then afterwards, I want to be able to transfer my Pokemon in to battle in the main format, or to help me shiny
battling,
or put those Pokemon right to put. I have a Flareon from, or like whatever, my Scizor from Gen 4. Bring that up and use it in Pokemon Camp, right? Or whatever the mode of whatever the mode of play is in that game. I want to be able to use these like Pokemon, these older ones that I've been collecting, right? I don't know. It's different for everyone. Let's talk.
It is, because I don't even use.
Yeah.
I don't even replay games. So,
if we're looking at Sword and Shield, and exactly, dude, you don't even replay games, so it's like that's. So
I played the first time with all new Pokemon, and then I was done, and that's it. I don't need my old Pokemon at all.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That's crazy. Because I'm like,
anyway,
what's the point of ranking this thing? Because it's like you're not going to replay it.
But it was for the initial experience, like the experience that I loved, and I do go back to it every now and then to battle.
Yeah, that's most people.
I do
I don't know if it's
battle,
most
and I played DLC stuff that I didn't finish because I didn't finish most or some of it, So
yeah,
it still was great. I loved Dynamaxing too. I know it wasn't that popular in the whole thing, but I really liked the Gigantamax. It was a new, fresh kind of thing for me. Personally.
Gigantamax was nice. I did not like Dynamax overall. Just Pokemon go big. Felt a little lazy to me.
It's fun for the stadium vibe.
I will say, yeah, I did the stadium thing, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
in
what
a lot of
Dynamax
ways
has
they
done
hurt other games because just the game felt so epic, the battles and stuff. And they, we literally went from having our battles in the stadium to having them in a school courtyard.
No, I know.
And for comparison,
to that, dude, every time I battle in Scarlet and Violet, I think of that and I go, "What has happened? This is horrible."
Literally, man.
So I think we do need to start going a little bit quicker. This is turning into a true tier list with how much we're yapping. But I'm
trying to think of positives.
Yeah, well, the positives. I think the raid system is actually kind of great. I do think it's a way to play with your friends in a way that's more collaborative. I think it's here to stay. Absolutely. I mean, people can complain about Dynamax not being the best competitive format thing, but I think overall the raids and Dynamax honestly is really, really cool as an alternative to megas, right?
Raids were great.
I think it's more memorable than Terra, at least the implementation of it.
Yeah, for sure. What's the DLC thing that people would do all the time? The Dynamax
Raid Adventures.
Yeah, Dynamax Adventures.
People loved that and continue to do it all the time.
I was playing it last week. Yeah, it's honestly so much fun.
And on that note, this was the game that introduced DLC to the franchise, and that will forever be something I'm grateful
that's true.
for.
Yeah,
and it was so good.
Sorry, but I will take Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra over Platinum. That kind of upgrade any day. It's just that's how it should be in my opinion, because it's like what you said earlier, Soul. It feels irrelevant, to. Okay, great. I've played through. I remember feeling this way, especially with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I loved those games, but I remember kind of being a little bummed that okay, so I'm replaying Sun and Moon, and it's just a little nicer now. It's like Sun and Moon, better edition, right?
Yeah.
But then you have this is so much better because I'm using the same save file too, so it feels like a continuation of my journey through Galar, not a redo of it. And it was all perfect. It also too, I want to touch on the fact that they gave us regional evolutions, and I think that's a really fun new feature.
That is cool. Yeah,
I agree 100%. And
I'm
regional
glad
forms for legendaries.
Yeah, I'm happy to see regional evolutions or regional anything, any regional Pokemon in general continue throughout this generation. That actually is really good.
And it expanded beyond Gym 1 because before it was just Gym 1. And then I'll never forget that first trailer where they show Zigzagoon and Linoon, and it's like,
you're like, what?
And then the Linoon evolves.
I know that is really actually really cool.
I wrote in my tweet about this basically just that it beats out Scarlet and Violet for me because of the art style and charm, though. The main thing about this game is just how the atmosphere, the world feels like a world. That's the thing.
It feels fantastical. It feels like specific to the Pokemon universe, right?
I think Galar's a very pretty region as well. I know I feel like even you mentioned that the routes were kind of a downside, I was gonna say, and I do agree. But the background, the one I always think of is the route between Motostoke and the mine. And see, this is a good one too. The route between Motostoke and this mine right here is in the background you can see this plant. There's all these hillsides and stuff.
Yeah.
It sucks that I don't get to go there. They instead make me stay in this line. But the world itself is beautiful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a trick that they pull. It's not I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's a trick. They position the camera in a way that always shows you a little bit more, or the camera is always fixed in a way where you're seeing the best version of that world. And I think that is totally fine. The way that I think about Sword and Shield, but it doesn't matter if you can't go there or not.
It does sometimes. With Wyndon, that was pretty bad.
Which one is Wyndon? You're talking about the
whole
London
city? The London city where you see this
you
whole metropolis in the back.
You want to go in,
and you can't. And I remember even with the map, when they showed us the map, because that was in the reveal trailer.
Yeah.
It had, you could see Wyndon on the map, and you were like, oh, look, and there's this Ferris wheel, and people are speculating, is that some kind of battle frontier? Maybe they've got a battle Ferris wheel, this, and then the Ferris wheel's just there, but it is, you can't go to it, you can't even walk up to the thing. It was very. No,
I'm with you. It
was disappointing.
No, I get you. I do think, the beauty of seeing all, I always look at Pokemon games as an access point into the Pokemon world. Right? This is my RPG. This is when I'm the main character. I get to be in the game and have the experience rather than a passive one, right? And totally. When you see cool things in the distance, you do want to travel. And I think that's why this game got a lot of flack. People were like, where's the open world game? Right? Why can't I travel to that location? I think the argument that I would make is that because this is just this is the same kind of game as X and Y, as Diamond and Pearl. It literally is the same game, just HD. I think the art, not the art style, but the art direction, the placement of the camera, and the way that you move throughout the region, and the way that the camera is kind of far off from the main character. In a lot of ways, I don't know if you guys can see this right here, right, or like this. You see how tiny your character is. Let me make this bigger. Yeah, here it is. View full size. So your character is small and centered in the middle of the screen, the same way that when you're playing, pick any Pokemon game, right? When it's top down and you're tiny, you take up one tiny.
Are you saying this is a good thing or a bad thing? Because
I think this is a good thing. I think it's a proper interpretation of that classic Pokemon style. I think once we get into future games, BDSP, it's a bad interpretation. I think when we look at Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, kind of you lose that. And I think when I play Sword and Shield, it really feels almost like I'm playing a storybook or a flip book, right? Or I'm playing with an action figure in a dollhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to James Turner, honestly.
It he did the Plucky Squire game, literally a book. That's his vibe.
It's a pro and a con for me because this is so beautiful and it gives the region so much life. But there is a part of me, especially when I'm first playing through the game, where I'm but I'd like to go over there.
But the thing is we got that in Scarlet and Violet, and I'm with you. I do agree with you, Lumi. You see that and then your imagination runs wild. But I think why our imaginations run wild is because of the way everything is positioned and shown to us. That's
it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's a success.
I think it's more than that, though.
Yeah.
No, but I think
it's that
because
the routes
it's so
could
pretty.
have been more.
The routes definitely could have been more.
Yeah, but
the routes are just like
that's
But I feel
yeah.
like in comparison to though, like not only is there this beautiful thing, but you know what this route is, Dusty?
Yeah.
It's a straight line with a little bit of a curve that loops around a tree.
I agree.
Like,
that's something
and
different.
that is like so it's not even that it's so pretty out there. It's that it's so pretty out there and it's so meh on this.
There's a lot more we could say.
I agree with you.
Probably move on to.
Let's keep tracking.
We gotta keep.
Yeah.
We got a lot left.
I agree with you. I think I just want with the route design, I've thought about this. I guess I kind of agree with you because
just put it at number 1, Dusty. That's
it's number 2.
That's what you want to do.
It is number 2. I think I just wish that one thing that could make this game better, even though we have the wild area, and that kind of functions as like the off-road like things to do in post-game or optional areas, right, to capture and explore Pokemon. I do feel like there's not enough to discover, right, in post-game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Even when I replay the game.
In post-game, I don't know, but just like in the whole region, it's kind of a small region and everything.
Well, in Pokemon games, usually in post-game is when you have all the HMs, and then you can backtrack the region, unlock things, find new legends, find new Pokemon, find new hidden items.
They did do a lot of that in the DLC, like going to get new Regis. That was freaking awesome.
Sure. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Different stuff like that.
It had a different vibe. Yeah, but
a good positive too was the mix of overworld and surprise encounters, like overworld and grass encounters. Having a mix of them was really intelligent. I think that was just such a cool way to bridge that gap.
They're my favorite Pokemon designs as well. Gen 8.
So. Oh, dude, the Pokemon lineup was phenomenal.
We didn't even talk about it, but Pokemon Camp is really great as well. I feel like that when it comes to like when it comes to something to do in the game that kind of like puts you in the driver's seat or
the Nintendogs of the game.
Yeah, literally.
At least you get to see them up close and all that. You know.
Yeah, it actually feels like you're playing with the Pokemon, like interacting.
A lot of good memes
like
from it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Pokemon Camp is really, really, really great. I'm just trying to skim this one more time to make sure we didn't miss anything. We didn't really talk about the DLC, but yeah, I think the DLC is great.
The DLC is peak.
This is what I was gonna say. The DLC and some of these things we're saying now, so we don't have to say it later in like Scarlet and Violet. But like the DLC, I think why the DLC is so great. It's like, or you guys were saying that the third versions weren't any good, and I think. That is totally understandable.
I didn't say they weren't any good.
They were the best, actually.
No, I know, but but after playing Diamond and Pearl, it's like, okay, great, now I got to play through the whole game again on Platinum. I think the DLC rewards. There's been a shift, I think, on these Switch era games where where Game Freak wants us to keep our save file. These Pokemon games are becoming living games. The goal is to not reset and keep playing alone. The goal is now to just like keep buffing up your existing save file so you have, keep collecting shinies, keep unlocking new whatever items, Pokemon, whatever. Keep keep collecting EXP candy, whatever, and then also just collect. It's just a collectathon, right? Catch all of the strongest Pokemon for your VGC circuit. These games have shifted to living games, which I actually think it rewards the way I play Pokemon. So I like that as well. All right.
It does. I just like the opposite. That's like how I play. Like I never played it as my Pokemon games are always living games because I never ever reset them.
Oh, sure. Well, now I'll just buy the other version, I guess, is my point.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put it in 2 because I haven't even decided what number 1 is. BDSP
I know what number 1
is 5.
BDSP is 5, definitely.
BDSP is 4 for me, and I will tell you why.
Yeah. Okay,
it's 4 because I haven't played Diamond and Pearl since they came out. Well, and when I played it again...
User era.
Listen, when I played it again, it's like, this is Diamond and Pearl. It's a good Pokemon. It's a good Pokemon game. Like, I played through it. It's not the best Pokemon game, but it's a good Pokemon game. I played through it, and I was like, this is good. This is a good game. That's literally it. Like, it's the same game minus some things, but it's the same game.
But see, that's the issue.
Fun.
Again, it's not improving on the game, and arguably,
no, it's not. I agree,
I think it's an even worse offender of it than Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah, I agree.
Because for one, like we said with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee left out Electivire and all this, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl left out Sylveon. You had one evolution. It was just one evolution.
Yeah.
You couldn't put in one evolution. You couldn't be bothered.
No, I'm with you.
One more Pokemon
I'm
design. But then also, too, a huge mistake of Diamond and Pearl, in my opinion, and Platinum corrected this a little bit, was that Diamond and Pearl introduces all these new evolutions. Gliscor. I mean, some of these are fan favorite Pokemon now, and guess what? You can't use them.
That was me. I caught a Gligar and could not evolve it. I caught an Electabuzz, could not evolve it.
And Platinum fixed that at least with some of them. And then I can't remember if it fixed it with all of them.
Yeah.
But then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl comes back and they do it like Diamond and Pearl did.
Yeah, I think.
What?
No, dude, I'm totally with you. I think people complain about BDSP for a lot of reasons, but I think if you boil it down, BDSP, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, are bad games and bad entries because they are truly faithful. They feel like cash grabs. They don't innovate, and I think they are unaware of what came before. Right? They're faithful. They're like blindly faithful. Right? And I think in concept, BDSP, I want more of them. In concept, asterisk. In concept, I think this is a cool idea because essentially these are just ports. No, Soul.
Oh, it is. That's exactly right. Essentially, they are ports.
So there's nothing wrong with ports. Literally, I know it's become a meme on this channel, but it's not a bad thing.
I agree. There's nothing
slightest.
wrong with ports.
I think there are so many franchises
wrong with spending $60 to $70 on a port.
There's something.
Amen.
No,
that's what I was gonna say. Is like, yes, it was good because it was just Diamond and Pearl, but that's my only positive. Like, that's the only. It's in place number 4 because it still is awful. It still is paying that much money for the same experience. I can just go play Platinum, which is way better.
Yeah, but a lot of people, but a lot of people don't have this. They don't have Diamond and Pearl. They don't have Platinum.
Right. We've talked about that,
and I think that's
at length.
That's a huge value. Like, I think
I'm ranking it as someone who does have Diamond.
And yeah, I know, me too. I'm still putting it at number 5.
And I don't want to spend that much money on it. Like, if they sold this for $30, this would be a whole nother discussion.
Oh yeah, this would probably be higher up. But you sold this at the same price that you sold Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
And
I'm expecting, if I'm paying the same amount as I am for Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, I am expecting
that caliber
of quality, that caliber of enjoyment of Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, Scarlet.
Not just a port with graphics.
Yeah, not just look, we made Diamond and Pearl prettier, and also we took away
I don't think they even made
the
it
flag
prettier
in the underground, and I'll never forgive you for that.
They didn't even.
I agree with you, Dusty, on like them not making it prettier. They just made it modern. It's just like the chibi art style as well. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
the chibi
prettier,
thing is trash. The chibi thing's so bad.
This game gives me like AI slop. That's kind of what it's giving.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, there's not even. I know that, and I
grab, like you said.
Listen, like anything, there are like little things here and there that I'm like, okay, I can appreciate that. Okay, that's nice. I really do like the backgrounds in this game. Right. I think it's cool that you get to go into the underground. And like, I love that because I was able to scoop up a Scyther. I was able to scoop up, I think, a Gligar more easily, maybe a Ralt.
But you weren't able to evolve the Gligar.
No, I wasn't. I know, but I'm saying
so
like
sad.
There are some cool things in the game. I honestly like the concept of like being able to go into the underground, and like imagining that there's a whole world. I always thought listen, people complain about the capture the flag and all those mechanics. I didn't care about any of that in the original Diamond and Pearl. I never thought any of that was fun. Probably because I was playing alone. That was probably the issue.
I think that's why.
I think the bases were cool. The bases were cool.
With Diamond and Pearl, I had when I was playing Diamond and Pearl as like a 10-year-old or something.
Yeah.
My older sister played Pokemon. She had Diamond, I had Pearl. My best friends, they were brothers. They were playing Pokemon. Their older brother would play Pokemon. So I had all these people I was playing Pokemon with. And then now I play Pokemon with my wife. Every time I get a game, she gets a game. She's as big of a fan as I am. She's just more camera shy. That was something is like, we didn't get to play Diamond and Pearl together because we didn't know each other. But so it was like really cool. They're like, dude, we're gonna play like capture the flag. We're gonna have like game nights.
That is fun.
Then you know what our room is? It's freaking statues. That's all we get. Our secret base is just statues.
For fans of the game, yeah, it's so bad that they did that to them. But for me, like, I didn't do that in Diamond and Pearl originally, so it didn't matter to me at all.
I think
you know what? This is gonna sound like a joke, but I promise it's not. Do you know what the biggest positive of this game was, though? Like, I really do.
Let me try to actually guess. Point me in the right direction. You could say anything.
The underground? The underground?
No. It's about the art style.
Oh,
that they're chibis?
I don't know.
Yes, and I'll tell you why that's the best thing about this game.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do, I was not a YouTuber when Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl came out. So, I was just a guy who liked Pokemon and, looked at stuff online. My favorite thing in the world was watching these reaction videos where it said, experience the brilliance once more. And everyone goes, yes, yes. And then it shows Dawn Chibi. They go,
yeah, that was funny.
No, love it.
But again, I thought you were serious. Again, I hate them so much. Look at Rowan; he's awful.
But again, it's like
he looks like a Lego.
It looks like Funko Pops.
Yeah, it really does. I think it does come down to expectations. Like we were, and because after people freaked out about this, then people were fist pumping about Legends Arceus. Like 2 minutes after they saw Dawn, right?
Which, if we don't have much more to say, we should segue.
No, absolutely.
Perfect segue.
I will say one thing about that is that this game also goes to 4 for me because it was released basically alongside Legends Arceus, so you were getting like 2 games, not for the price of one, but you're getting 2 games. Like.
But so it's on its own.
So it wasn't as big of a middle finger.
It lessened the blow of this game. Like, imagine this was the only game, like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Then this would probably be at 5, maybe because Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is just.
I mean, I'm still looking at it like a standalone game because it's like $60. But like,
yeah,
but I do agree with you that like, again, I'm not looking at these 5 games like this one sucks because it's not this. I'm looking at these like, this game is a game that exists now. Will I ever go back to it? And truthfully, yes, I think I might. I really think I might. I really think I've been going through these Switch games, playing them back, and I haven't replayed this, but I am kind of curious to go back and actually play this. I enjoy?
It's still Diamond and Pearl.
Yes, and I think the only reason why I would go back to it is for not the convenience, but the ability. Yeah, I guess kind of the convenience to play it like on a TV, right? To play it on my OLED. Right, I think to play it on my new Switch, but like when the Switch 2 comes out, I think that actually will be a lot of fun. Again, in concept, I love the idea of these faithful remakes only because of. So if you listen, if you look outside of Pokemon, there are so many amazing faithful remakes or whatever you want to call them. Right, there's the Paper Mario that just came out. Everyone always compares this to what is it, Link's Awakening? The Link's Awakening.
I don't buy any of those. Unless I've been played like they're one of my favorites ever, and I haven't played it in years and years.
But
that's the only way.
I know, but like I think from someone who hasn't played those games, those are good games. Those are good remakes because they retain the actual value of the old game. I think where BDSP misses out, and this is why people complain about it so much, is that they do not retain the initial magic that the original games had. The only thing that this game is better at than the originals is that it's faster. That's it. It's just a faster engine, and it doesn't take
one using close combat on a person.
Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. Otherwise, it's kind of just like it's such a sloppy game, man. Even if they did the little like the blur effect, where like the distance, where when you're playing through the game and the distance in the foreground are a little bit blurred, that would have been kind of nice.
That is a positive of this game. You can go to each town, and when you go click on the little map, or the little like signpost, it shows you like the whole town, and it looks really nice.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even realize that.
And that's it.
That's fun. Yeah. But
it is really nice looking.
I guess we can move on to Legends Arceus.
Before we do,
you know what? You know what's actually really also good about this game? And again, this really is just a thing that ports in general have done, is that they actually unlocked and have made accessible a lot of Pokemon, mythical and legendary Pokemon that were not originally available. What is it? Manaphy? What else is it? I think there's a Mew maybe?
Well, Manaphy's only by mystery gift, but by replaying it, you can get Arceus, because if you have Legends Arceus, you can get... Honestly, really, I think what you're talking about is more of a point for Legends Arceus, because if you missed... You had to get the Oak Letter mystery gift, the Manaphy Egg mystery gift, and the...
Oh, those aren't even available anymore?
No, you can't get those. The only one you can get is if you have Legends Arceus, you can get Arceus.
All right. Well, speaking of which, all right, let's move on now to Pokemon Legends Arceus. This game came out like a couple months after BDSP, and I feel like I'm honestly torn. I don't know if this game's number 1 or number 3.
Wow.
But I think it's number 1.
Wow.
I think it's number 1.
It's number 1.
Wow. It's number 3 for me.
Damn.
I was on the fence between it and Sword and Shield for number 1. In fact, when I was first doing my list, I put Sword and Shield in number 1. But then when I kind of got to Legends Arceus, I was like, you know what? And the reason I went with Legends Arceus over Sword and Shield is I think both are phenomenal games. You know, we just ranted about Sword and Shield a bit ago, how good we liked it and all. But with Legends Arceus, I have the same level of nostalgia as I do my very first Pokemon game with these games.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Me too. I know why.
I am so
the Japanese region. That's why.
In love with them.
No,
I think so.
No, what it is when we were children, this is what we imagined Pokemon games to be. This is what we imagined Pokemon to be. And I think the games have, because they sold well and they made such an impact, and the first time they made an impact, it was on the Game Boy, right? So for 25 years, every other game was a model of that first version. But I think if we got a Pokemon game whenever this came out in 2022, and this was the first Pokemon game, this would be just as captivating. It definitely wouldn't have spun out an entire franchise.
That's a take.
But I think this game is what I think this game is what a Pokemon game has always felt like. But now we're actually doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I also too, we mentioned maybe this is dumb. Y'all tell me in the comments, especially if I'm the only one who's like this. But I think a big factor of my enjoyment for games also is the hype cycle for them. And the Legends Arceus trailer with Hisui and Braviary is also one of the greatest Pokemon trailers of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, where he jumps off the
the mountain and the music and all in it is just so
trailer.
I can remember watching it for the first time. I remember it vividly. My dad had COVID, so I was actually staying with my sister and her husband, and I was sitting on, they have a little futon that I was sleeping on, and I was, because this was in the height of the COVID pandemic, and I'm looking at my phone and watching this, and I'm just the whole time just jaw drop.
Wow.
I am stunned by how this game looks. Also, it was because up till this point, we haven't seen a true evolution since Sylveon. It kind of looked like regional evolutions might be the new way they're doing evolutions now, but nope. There's a Stantler evolution. Also, Growlithe has a Hisuian form. Braviary. Is that an evolution for Basculin? And it's actually the coolest thing I've ever seen?
It was a great trailer. It was a great trailer. I do agree, but that's kind of an issue actually for me, is that the hype was better than the actual game to me.
No.
This is so random. You guys are throwing me off because I'm I get the nostalgia. I get it. I get looking back fondly, but I think it's those beautiful things and memories aren't the game. Those beautiful things are memories around the game, which is valid and does
right. I don't even want to spend too much time on the hype cycle of it. But
I said, I'm sorry. It's a big part.
No, that's fine. It's not a bad thing. I just mean I hope we're ranking these on the quality of the game and if the games are going to stand up. And I think
I am, but I do think there's a sense of I always make Marvel references, and I do think there's a sense of how much you enjoy something based on the hype around it. I think part of the reason Infinity War and Endgame were such big events were because they were such big events.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true. Yeah,
and so if you have these really good trailers, it makes me feel like it's an event.
I think this game is so great because it is in every aspect a reinterpretation of the Pokemon formula, right? Even the battles are different, right? Mm-hmm. For better or worse. And you don't need to like the battles, but you don't need to like the battles, but it's it is a different take. They're quicker, right? Yeah. And I think what's so beautiful about this game, it's been said to death, but it is the gameplay loop. It's the immersion. It's being able to like use your Pokemon as tools. I love that the perspective of this game is truly on your character, your human character, and I feel like in previous games, you are the human character, but like your Pokemon is what matters. And in this game, you can lose all your Pokemon and still your character is surviving. All your Pokemon can be fainted, and it's actually up to you to rescue them and to get out of your slippery situation and heal your Pokemon before you get killed by an alpha, right?
What's hilarious is you're saying everything that makes me not like this game.
Yeah, I know. But
it's crazy.
I don't know what else Pokemon would be other than this. This is like so cool to me.
If I may.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
That's awesome.
The alpha shiny Ursaring, man. Core memory.
Dude.
Yeah, that's
great. So cool. I love that you recorded that. That's epic.
It's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Like finding an alpha for the first time, being like, I mean, it's trivial.
We all had that moment with the alpha Rapidash. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. It's funny that oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. But it's funny that you guys bring up like these things. It's literally the opposite.
This is the appeal of the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh no, this is what I was gonna say. You saying that is kind of like we've been trying to define a Legends game, and I think that actually defines it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Is that because you brought both of these points in this episode, which is that in Sword and Shield you have the classic like Pokemon view of your character, and in Legends you are behind the character like this, and closer and focused on the character. I do think that that's probably a defining thing in Legends, like that we'll see in ZA will probably be very similar to that.
You have the open area, you have these like scary boss Pokemon throughout the region. I think another thing is like, I think it was really cool. I feel like the scale of this game is so much smaller, like geographically. You have all these different biomes to travel to, but there's a professor, and that's the plot. Mostly, right? Obviously, Volo shows up, and I kind of forget a lot of the story.
Oh, the plot's good. The plot's good.
The plot's epic. Yeah. But it's like, but I feel like the scope of everything is small. There's one village. That's your village. That's your home base.
That sucks.
I think that's cool because as you travel throughout the region and collect Pokemon, you can build up the city and make lasting changes in your save file. Based on the Pokemon that you give. You can give a trainer, they're like, do you have a Wurmple? And you can give them a shiny Wurmple, which will end up evolving into a shiny whatever, right? And then that's the Pokemon that is there forever. There's people in the field in Jubilee Village who are like, we need a ground type. We need a water type. We need these Pokemon to grow our crops. And when you give them those Pokemon you can now see, your Pokemon, you can see that you're making a difference in the world. Those Pokemon are now over in the overworld. They can be alphas, they can be micro, they can be shiny, whatever, right? And those Pokemon now are making a difference in the world that you live in. And I think that's the kind of stuff that I love in Pokemon. And I didn't even know I wanted it, but now
it was super immersive is what it was.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, look at, dude, this is so cinematic as well. When you get into a battle,
this is literally, I was literally gonna be like, dude, look at this. This is what I hate about it.
I don't know how you hate this, dude. This is so cool. I
hate that view. I hate it. I hate not being able to see my Pokemon. Instead, I'm just got this character in front of them.
You know what I mean? You can run around.
It's not good like that. Yeah. I don't like it. So let me just give me my spiel.
I'm not trying to change your mind. Yeah.
of my whole thing with these games. Like, I put at number 3 just because it's not because it's a bad game at all. If this was like a proper tier list, it would be probably an S tier. It's not like that.
What the heck, dude? That is insane.
It's just in ranking,
bro.
You are them
crazy
compared to the other ones.
I mean, I love you guys, but you're crazy
1 and 2
right
would be S tier as well, right?
Yes, okay. Probably. So here's the thing. It's just that I am a Pokemon purist, bro. That's it. Like, right. I liked BDSP because it's just Pokemon. You know what I mean?
Valid.
It's not Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee where there's this change that sucks, and I don't want that. You know what I mean? This change doesn't suck as bad, but the gameplay loop got really old to me so quick.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
And it's I love the catching. The catching's great. But the battles from far away like that is not. It's just not the same, and I don't love that. And that's it. I love the atmosphere. I love not really the arts. I love the vibes because of it's being a Japanese region. The music, everything is like magical. The music's so good. There's
not
so
just
much
the music, but the
so
sound
good.
design as well. Like when you capture a Pokemon, I gotta play through right here. Let's see if the person is talking over it or if it just makes noise.
I think I missed.
Yeah, he is talking.
We can't hear it anyway. But listen, there's so much that's so good about this game.
The little ball capture, and then you hear the little sparkles.
Yeah. I hope we get something similar in ZA. But anyway, you can, like, there's so much good about this game. Do not get me wrong, because I know I'll get murdered.
Were you saying this would be F tier, or did you say this was going to be S tier?
No, S. I said S.
I heard F tier, and that's why I was like,
no,
calling you
S
crazy.
Tier.
Okay.
No, I think it's a good, a
good
entry, but it's just not what I like.
Not for you. Yeah.
No, not really. And the whole action elements, like, I didn't mind them that much, but a lot of people hated that. It's a different experience, and that's fine, but it's just not gonna be my top game because of that.
And I can understand.
And there are other people
I have
who
heard
are in that line of thinking.
Yeah.
I've met people who have told me, I picked up Legends Arceus and I thought it sucked.
Yeah. But I think
and
this
they
game
said the reson why is because it's not Pokemon.
Also,
but it is.
There's another point.
I agree. I'm with you, Dusty. I'm just saying there are a lot of people that are with Soul on this.
Oh my god.
There's another point of like what Dusty was saying, that if this was like the first Pokemon game, people would love it and stuff. I was like on the hype at first, right? Because I loved this game until about halfway through, and then I was like, man, this is old already. And like there's these things that I'm not really liking. I told my friend who doesn't play Pokemon, you got to get this game because it's like not the same old formula and all that. He played like a couple hours and stopped playing it, and I was just like, dang, man, not even this can win somebody over.
Which is crazy to me, because I'm like, I feel like when I look at this game, this is the game that I think this game appeals to traditionally non-Pokemon players, people who are looking for a more classic game, right? A mainstream game, right? They want action elements. I think with the aiming, the Pokeball, that's kind of like an FPS in a lot of way, right? It's similar, gameplay. It's like pseudo open world, but it still has that charm of Pokemon. It's a darker mood, right? There's darker elements here. I think it appeals to a different type of gamer. Absolutely. So there is a lot of merit in what you're saying. I think a lot of Pokemon fans like Pokemon games because they are predictable, right? People like the wider community complain.
I play Pokemon because I want to play Pokemon.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes totally sense, dude. It's
I want the Pokemon experience. I don't want a different one, or I would play a different game. And that's the thing, is this does not compete with other games that are like it, if that makes sense. Like, it's very low level compared, so it's like, it's weird that they tried to do like a mix. I mean, it's good, it is a good game. I feel like,
listen, again, I always go back to I'm so grateful that they gave us a new experience. And you know what, I think I was watching back the initial trailer, right, when they showcase Chibi Dawn, and then they show us the Legends ZA trailer. In that Legends Arceus trailer, in that explanation, something stood out to me. They had said like Pokemon enters a new era, or welcome to a new Pokemon. Like they said something that signaled to me that I didn't realize before. I was watching this last night, that they were actually confident in this, right? It kind of communicated to me.
Because everything about it seems like they weren't. Like, I don't know if
they were actually
there won't be
confident.
another Legends game in this.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if they were actually confident in it, though, because I do think that it was probably a similar thing to Let's Go.
Yeah, where it's
like, if it was successful, then we're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
And I could see Let's Go. I could see the reaction to Let's Go maybe even making them kind of worried for this,
Yeah. But it's so different.
Because it's like, well, the last time we tried something, it wasn't that loved. I want to, while the trainer's running right near it, I want to go ahead and mention this. Dusty, you were talking about building the city.
Yeah.
For me, I like immersion's a big part of it for me. Going by those pastures and being like, there's the Ponyta I just got.
Yeah. It's cool.
You can't beat that.
No, it's so
Very
good.
Cool.
And I think there's plenty of things that could have been improved in this game, and we might see some of those things happen in Legends ZA, right? Like where
love side quests, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's talk about features. Side quests, epic. That's what we want. We want things to do in the region.
I want them to be better, though.
Lore and
much
add
better.
story and life and personality.
The legendary Pokemon, those like hunts for all the legendaries. That is so cool.
I loved that.
And they unlocked so many mythical Pokemon. They made them more accessible in this game. That's awesome. I think the distortion riffs are so cool. Truthfully, I would say, actually, beyond features, I think something that's so cool about this game that we haven't even touched on is so this is the first time, again, it's main series. We see different iterations of the Pokemon universe, but usually we don't consider them canon because they are like a side game, right? But I think in this game, this being a core series Pokemon game, this is the first time that the game takes place in a wildly different time period. And I think why that is really interesting is because we have all this canon, this knowledge, these stories, these Pokemon. We understand how the Pokemon world works current day, basically, right? From in the Pokemon universe from 1996 to 2025. That's like the era that we play Pokemon games and experience the world. It is so cool to play through the Pokemon timeline and get a glimpse into what that was like 100 years prior, right?
Absolutely,
that's why I'm like
agree.
looking at like, awesome. If Legend ZA happens to be 100 years in the future, that is still really, really cool, right? I think what it allows Game Freak to do is expand our understanding of the world, just beyond Legend. These aren't stories. We're playing the actual events of these time periods. They're canonizing these events. I think that is so cool. I want more of that. Absolutely. That's why this is.
I agree with that a lot.
But features, the ancestors. That's another great thing, right? I think also the regional forms are all very specific, not only to they don't feel like type swaps, right? It's not like Vulpix is in the tundra, therefore it's ice type. It's this Pokemon is now able to evolve because of the specific environmental conditions of Hisui in particular. That is awesome.
I want to give Lumi a chance to say something, but I have to say something about this specific note, which is that all of the Pokemon that are in this game were so well designed and well thought out, like culturally. They are so culturally into this time and area, like region. It's just like mind blowing when you get into the depths of like their design elements, and that's one thing I really, really loved. Crazy.
Yeah. 100%. And I think we cannot talk about regional forms without talking about the fact that they gave regional forms to starter Pokemon.
Yeah. Dude, oh my God. How did we forget about that?
I do think, too, like, I'm going to be a little biased towards this game because Hisui and Samurott is my favorite Pokemon of all time.
There you go.
And
me too. Scizor's in this game.
That's fair.
So, but I also do think, too, like, just all of the Pokemon, not all of them, but like a lot of the Pokemon are very, very fun to me. Like, I also love Ursaluna. I love Hisui and Braviary, I think is so cool. I love Hisui and Arcanine. I'm a big Weird Ear fan. Hisui and Zorua and Zoroark are just objectively amazing. And then, again, talking about hype cycle, I know it's not like technically a part of the game, but the reveal of Hisui and Zorua and Zoroark was just so freaking cool.
Yeah, that was epic as well.
That was cool. That was cool. And again, I feel like all those Pokemon are so specific to the region, and then they are explained.
They are.
They're explained through the lore, like not the lore, but like they're explained through, for the time being, modern mythology, right? Mm-hmm. Which is awesome. I don't know. That's so cool. Anyways, and we're not really ranking the Pokemon because I think that's unfair. We haven't looked at any of the other Pokemon, right?
We it is part of the experience. I mean, we touched on it. It's just Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl.
And Let's Go don't have any new Pokemon.
Eevee only gave us one.
Yeah. Not to go back, but I am just curious. Do you think the inclusion of Melmetal in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I don't know, like
was enough?
Well, no. Do you see that as, we didn't really touch on that, but that is a Pokemon that is, I think still has an unknown region. We don't know where it comes from, but
and it's not really a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee Pokemon, because I challenge you right now, go to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and get a Melmetal. You can't. Yeah, it's all in Go. It's a new Pokemon in Pokemon Go, not Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's what sucked about it, to be honest.
That's fair. Yeah.
You can just catch it naturally.
Whereas I feel like, kind of like what we're saying, the new Pokemon in this game felt more purposeful.
Yeah.
And just overall, the story was so good. I mean, dude.
Remind me of the story. I really don't remember. I think I want to stream it soon. Legends.
It was Arceus. So there are these two teams, or not teams, but clans. The Diamond Clan and the Pearl Clan, and basically they both worship a god called Sinnoh. And
dude,
which is such a cool like tease, But one clan believes that Sinnoh is the ruler of space. One clan believes that Sinnoh is the ruler of time.
Cool.
And basically there's this whole plot around them. Meanwhile, what's going on is Kamado, he hates Pokemon. Like, he does not trust them. His village was burned down by a Pokemon. And so, that's kind of where the first plot comes in. But then in the post game, you learn that basically this was all a manipulation by Volo. The Giratina moment too, I think, is like what's the thing from?
Can we stop? This is actually
Spider-Man?
the best. This is the best part of the game right here. Not being able to go, not being able to go over mountains with weird air.
Are you serious? Because he's tripping.
Trying so hard.
Continue, yeah.
But what's the thing from the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? A canon event.
Yes.
That's what the Giratina moment. That
we all have to experience.
Oh man,
yeah,
dude, it was, and I love, I was talking earlier about the reactions, because I do think, and the reason I talk about the reactions to things is I do think there is something about the game when it provides this unity or cohesion with
unity
people.
Experience.
It is, and that's the thing, is it's so cool to watch those moments of people playing Legends Arceus for the first time. They're battling the Giratina. They take out the Giratina and they're like, all right, and the Giratina flips back and then comes back, and it's just this huge moment, and everyone's talking about it. And I think that shows when a game has done a great job, right? Is when everyone is talking about the same exact thing from that game and going, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
And
they're not making fun of it. It's not the tree.
Right. It's a genuine this was phenomenal.
So I just want to point out one little thing.
Yeah.
This is something that I feel like is missing in the next game, Scarlet and Violet. But traversing this world and seeing these pillars fallen, these ruins, right? I think this is so much more effective than whatever we have in Scarlet and Violet, because it is specific to the region, and they're and they're not this same layout of blocks or objects, whatever they're called in game design, isn't copy and pasted throughout the region. It feels like every single part of where you can travel in this game is unique, right?
I almost disagree with that. I don't know. I feel like you can find these in another spot.
You can, you can, but it's a different layout. It's a different layout of them.
Yeah,
yeah. I was literally about to be
copy paste.
Yeah, true. I agree that it's a little too much in Scarlet and Violet, but I was literally about to just bring up how a few negatives about this game, which is that it just doesn't really look that great either. It's very muddy and look at it.
I think
this one's a little muddy area.
But I don't mean muddy. I don't mean muddy like that. I just mean in general, the graphics, everything. People complain about things like that, but then
I don't think it's
forget
the graphics, but yeah,
they forget about Legends Arceus. It's not that great looking.
But
general.
I think it is though, man.
No, I hear. I think the muddy critique. I hear that all the time, and I think that looking at this, I can kind of agree. But I think why it doesn't matter is because there's still a cohesive art style here, right?
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't know if it's great.
I feel that you don't need to prefer it, but
and it is kind of empty. People would say the world's empty in Scarlet and Violet, and they say that. They say it about here too. You don't hear that anymore, but before Scarlet and Violet, people would say, "Oh, it's too empty." But
how is it empty? Because there's so many things to do.
Well, and it's purposeful. Of course, it's empty. You are in a pretty much largely uninhabited, unexplored region. It should be like that. Whereas with Scarlet and Violet, it's a modern region with established cities. It's an established country. It's not, so it feels empty to me. Scarlet and Violet feels empty because I know I'm in a modern day first world country and there's no one here.
Yeah,
But like with this game, it's an unexplored region. I am expecting it to be empty, and I like that.
I would argue that this game is not these worlds that you traverse in Legends Arceus are not empty because there is always something to collect. The feedback loop of this game is that you need to collect things in order to make things, to heal your Pokemon and to capture new Pokemon, right? Which then you can use to collect more items and traverse to new areas. There's a feedback loop there. And scattered throughout this region are strong Pokemon, like the alphas, rare Pokemon, shinies are amazing. There's also all of these items throughout the region, with the stones and the apricorns and the whatever you want to call it, right? There's like random satchels throughout the region that can help you. You know, that's like a whole little side thing. It's something to do in the game, right? Even with Ursaluna, right? There's hidden items everywhere. I feel like this game is always captivating me. This game does what open world games should do in my, like, at least to me, right? I'm not trying to fight you, Soul, like, to say that your experience is wrong.
All, though, actually.
Yeah. But for me, it's like when I played throughout, like, look, what is this? The Old Verse 9? That's a whole like side
those
quest.
Were cool. Those were cool.
That's a whole side quest.
More of that.
You know?
We needed it to be more fleshed out, though. Like, not just reading text, you know? I don't know. Sometimes that's good. And
Sure, but I think that's another thing is I rank these like based off like time period. Like a long time ago, we ranked all the Pokemon games, and
I know
that was something that I kind of mentioned there is that like it would be hard. You have to kind of rank when talking about Red and Blue. You have to rank those like based off when they came out, because obviously if Red and Blue was a new Pokemon game that came out right now, they would suck. You know,
they would.
Right.
We're just an indie developer
like
team.
Likewise, right?
We're just
so
indie.
Likewise
That's
with
why
Legends Arceus. I feel like I'm ranking this thinking, okay, they're clearly making at least one more Legends game. How do I feel about this being the first entry? And this feels phenomenal. Whereas, like, this makes me hopeful for more. Whereas, like, in comparison, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I was like, oh, please don't make another one of these.
Yeah.
You know?
I do agree with you that, like, a second one is probably going to be better. It's... if they keep these same things about this game. That's the thing. I don't know what Legends ZA is actually going to do that's the same as this. Like, if they built on this, then it would be a good game, but I'm not sure if they're actually going to build on this. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Yeah. I have played a lot of open world games, and it's just, like, not quite there, this whole thing. Like, that's what I mean with a lot of those things. And I will give you that it's not very empty feeling in two of the areas, but the other two are very empty. So like the like grasslands one and the ice one, the ice one is abysmal for like stuff being in there. And like stuff like this, like we should have moments where there's just characters just around that you can just talk to.
Sure, like if
they're just like randomly
I can get on board with that. Yeah,
there's things about other games
when
like
the NPCs
The
are
Witcher
just chilling,
3.
You know,
I'm talking about The Witcher 3. I'm talking about Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the kind of open world games I'm talking about. That it doesn't, not that it could ever reach that, but also people compare these kind of things.
No, I can kind of get on board because I do think, and I said it as a positive, these games have a smaller scope. They're smaller, right? Geographically, there's like what 4 locations, and then you have like the main town. So I get what you're saying. Like if there was more world to traverse, and the world was filled with more NPCs that you can... I think that lack of NPCs... Lumi made a good point, but I do think the lack of NPCs throughout these biomes... It doesn't
matter the time.
Is a little...
Just be people.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense within the region, but I get what you're saying. It would be cool to like I think it's cool to go meet up with... What's her name? Gita? And it's not Gita. It's who the older woman that looks like Cynthia.
Oh,
Kogita.
Kogita?
Yeah. Super close.
Like, I think it's cool that she's chilling and she has like a little hut. I think it'd be cool if all of the different the Diamond and Pearl clan huts, right? There was more to do with those locations.
Oh, absolutely.
That would be kind of cool, right? One. If you could then, if there were people there that you could like then battle. Like, I'll give it to you. I think this game is great in the moment. I think it brought a lot to the series and has shown us what we now want to see and what could be possible for future Pokemon titles. But I will give it to you. I do think that these games are better in the campaign But once it's like, but there could be some hindrances, right? And maybe when we play Legends ZA, we'll be looking back at this like, come on, they dropped the ball. This game's nothing compared to Legends ZA. It could totally happen.
I am hopeful for Legends ZA in the sense that like them picking megas means that it should be more battle focused. A big complaint I have about this game is that there's like 2 trainer battles. There's like you literally fight Adaman and Irida and that's about it. Like there's not a lot. And that's one of the things I really like about Pokemon
is
Pokemon
the
battles. So yes,
dude,
absolutely.
The space-time distortion. Hold on, there's a little gameplay footage right here of a space-time distortion. I gotta pull this up.
There's one other thing that would improve these games to me, and that would be, hopefully this is fixed in Legends ZA as well, since Kalos had such a big dex. One of the reasons that the gameplay loop got boring to me is that I got to the 3rd place and I'm like, oh, I have to catch the same Pokemon again, because there wasn't so many.
Yeah, these are different play styles. That's the whole point of the game.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I get to a new area and there's like not any new Pokemon to catch there. Does that make sense? Like, I'm hoping that there's a bigger dex.
Oh, yeah.
Because
all we had was the Sinnoh dex and then a couple extras.
Yeah, I just wanted to catch
I get what you're
more.
saying. No, I think that is
ones.
I think that is a totally fair criticism. I think the dex is very small, and when all the Pokemon that you encounter are in the overworld, it does get a little I think it's
like when you go to a new area, you expect something new. And then it's like, oh, it's a Glameow again. You know.
Like,
how many times?
I think that's valid. I'm 100% like I think that's valid. So when I say like my counterpoint, I'm not like arguing against you because it's valid, but I'm just saying the thing that didn't bother that about it for me was that it felt to me like I don't know. Sorry, I completely lost my train.
No, bro, that happens to me all the time.
But I think that like with Legends Arceus, it actually was what we heard about, where it's high quality animations.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so that felt like, you know, these Pokemon are doing more in the world.
Yeah.
So it felt more acceptable.
Yeah.
I guess, if that makes sense.
I think this game was. Yeah. I think this game's really
the dex being shorter.
Really innovative in a lot of ways, and I think that's why I put it at number 1, because not only is it taking a risk, not only is it doing something unique and experimenting with the formula, but I think it also is a good game and it will be fun when I've replayed it before, but it's still been a while since I've played it like through the story. I think this game is going to stand up. I think this game again is an image of what Pokemon games will look like in the future. I think there's always going to I think we're going to get more Legends games that are action RPGs, and then we're always going to get the main series games, which are like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. And Scarlet and Violet is so different from Sword and Shield, you know? Yeah, but I don't know. We're not even done yet, but I'm looking forward to the Switch 2 era. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff. Like, I think we're going to get more BDSP style games. I really do. And they're going to be better. We're going to get more Legends games. They're going to be better.
As long as they're better, then we're good.
Yeah, I think
now with
better.
BDSP, I think like the bar for improvement for Legends is a lot shorter than the bar for improvement. Like when we say better for Legends Arceus, it can be better, but like for Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, it's got to be a lot better.
I just wish BDSP had like a creative vision. And it doesn't have a creative. It feels it. That's why I said like AI. It
feels like a cash grab.
It literally is like, ooh, they bought this. Let's just like put a glaze of, like cheap, whatever the polish is. Let's just make it 3D, but it's the same exact game, and it's like, okay, well,
I would love to see the timeline.
Where's the charm?
I would love to see the timeline where Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl wasn't released, and so because it wasn't released, Legends Arceus was our holiday game.
Yeah.
And there wasn't because, a large part of the Pokemon fan base is going to be like kids who are interested in the games.
Yeah.
And so their parents are going to be like, no, I'm not buying you a Pokemon game. I just bought you a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
So I'd love the timeline where this is the Pokemon game they just bought. I'd love to see what those numbers look like.
Maybe if the 15 million sales that BDSP did, if like half of those were put into Legends Arceus, and now
daggum, even less than that, a third of them,
Yeah, and then Legends Arceus all of a sudden is selling, is in the like B tier of highest selling games of all time, Pokemon games.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to Scarlet and Violet. This has been honestly, this has been a lot of fun to kind of go through all these different games and just hash this out.
Can I segue it?
Yeah.
Because what I was segue is just that the only reason that Scarlet and Violet is above Legends Arceus is just because it's a classic Pokemon game style, gameplay. That's the reason. Like, Legends Arceus would be higher for me if it had that. So this is the classic. You go, you battle, you catch, all the same kind of thing. Which the catching I could give or take,
Yeah.
Anyway. That's the deciding factor for me. So this is number 2 for me, even though it's a very, very small margin between the two.
All right, so Scarlet and Violet, we're ranking it
3 for me.
This
is
literally
has to
go
my
to
list.
3.
This is how my list looks.
And honestly, what I was gonna say is, for me, I think there's a tie between Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet. They offer different things. They're still core series. And I think, honestly, when I look at these two games, I think Gen 10 is going to be a fuse at the most. I think Gen 10 is going to have a creative vision. It's going to be polished. It's going to be pretty. But I do think it's going to lean more into the open world aspect and take a lot of the immersion, those immersive features that I like from Legends Arceus. Maybe not all of them, but like a lot of those immersive features. I like battling in the overworld with the Let's Go mechanic, right? I like the polish of a lot of the Pokemon in the game. I think the open world has potential. I think there's a lot of...
It does.
There's a lot of...
Absolutely.
It depends if they can actually execute it.
So my list would look like this, where Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet are tied for second. And then you kind of, everything else is underneath that. But if
I
we
would
got
say
to put
Gen
it...
10 should be a mix of the 3 of those top ones.
Yeah, like
that
this.
Would be good.
That'd be crazy. But it's not going to be.
I don't think they're going to.
Because the Legends is going to be its own thing.
Yeah. I wish they would just add the catching into the main line, the main generation.
But
these games.
Scarlet and Violet, the game we've been playing for 2 years. And if we talk about nostalgia, this is the game that we started this podcast playing. We met each other. We got to know each other through the lead up, through the hype cycle, through the leak cycle, and that was a lot of fun. And it's been nice to just sit and marinate with this game. I played it hard. I'll say this. I think...
Hey, before you do, real quick, my nose is bleeding.
Man, okay.
Oh, man.
I have no idea why. Something bad is happening to me today.
We can stop. That's all good.
We've had a day.
I don't know how much anime y'all watch, but there's like a thing in anime where whenever a character is like in love with someone, their nose starts bleeding. So I think that the reason my nose started bleeding is because we had just finished talking about Legends Arceus, and I'm so in love with it that my nose bled. So yeah, that's the official conclusion for why my nose started bleeding.
All right, what was I going to say? I was going to say...
something profound.
Yeah, I think... Okay.
Profound, and I ruined it.
About Scarlet and Violet.
I think for me, Pokemon games have always been... and part of this is the fact that they're on Nintendo systems, have always been... I think against popular belief, they've always been well-polished and secure, and there's a system. I could trust that the game will be reliable, right? And I think in this Switch era,
I agree with the second part, but not the first part. But yes, go on.
I think in this current era of Switch titles, or the Switch titles in general, we've seen the loss of agency in our gameplay, but we've also seen a dip in performance where never before have there been, since Generation 1, let's say, horrible game-breaking bugs, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's been one or two random ones in there, but I think with BDSP...
yeah, we didn't even talk about the bugs in BDSP.
And with Scarlet and Violet, I think I think where I'm trying to get with all of this is that when I remember booting up Scarlet and Violet for the first time, and actually feeling a little bit, and I said this kind of, I'm trying to be descriptive, I'm not like, right, but I actually felt a little offended. I was like, thinking to myself, I don't want to transfer, this isn't a game. This game does not make me want to transfer my Pokemon from the last 20 years up into this engine, right? It doesn't, it's not intuitive, it's not pretty, it's not aspirational in the least, right? If Pokemon games are my access point into the universe, I'd rather stay in Sword and Shield. I'd rather stay in Legends Arceus. Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet constantly break my immersion and actively encourage me to play another game.
I like that. I like what you're saying because I feel kind of similar. And I'll say this, I remember when Sword and Shield was getting all the hate for how it looked, everyone was talking about that one tree. I remember the thing I always said I think it looks really good, but I am a Pokemon player. I'm not a video game player. So, if you're someone who's playing Breath of the Wild or whatever, then yeah, Sword and Shield looks pretty god-awful. Can you pause it right here, Dusty? Because this is relevant to what I'm saying. So, I always thought Sword and Shield looked fine. However, as a Pokemon player, I look at this and this looks bad. Look at those pumpkins. Look at that hedge there.
It looks bad. Everything looks bad.
It looks like a downgrade from what I've played, and what I've played is other Pokemon games.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that as you progress down the timeline, your quality's dropping?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with all of that. I just want to disagree on one thing that Dusty said, which is like moving up your Pokemon, because the one thing in this image that looked good is the Pokemon. I think one of the best things about Scarlet and Violet is the Pokemon like textures and everything. Like seeing the new Pokemon or just any Pokemon we were talking about this on a live stream the other night, like they look so much better. They look incredible. And I think they just put a lot of focus into the Pokemon. But yeah, the world right there looks absolute trash.
But
like
yeah,
the background,
and I think,
gosh, that's like N64.
It's horrible.
I think that's a really big part of it for me. It's like I love traveling. I love going on vacation. Who doesn't? But like Pokemon feels like that to me. I'm exploring a place. I'm traveling through a place. I can't afford a plane ticket to Spain, so this is what I've got.
Yeah, no, that's true.
This is not Spain.
And Soul, you make a good point, Soul.
Well,
that
definitely ain't Portugal. Ayo.
Yeah, you make a good point that the Pokemon do look good, but I would argue that only goes so far. I think it very much matters. Where I think it very much. Oh my! I'm just noticing right now. Can you see this? Quaxley is on the screen, and instead of looking up, his whole body has rotated backwards, so his feet are off the ground. Do you see that?
Yeah. Instead of he's going.
That's actually bizarre, like a cartoon.
It's
character.
hard to look at him when Fuecoco's just mouth open derp. Though I love him so much. He just.
Yeah, but I think it's again, my access point to this region, like you're saying, Lumi, is these games. And when these games are so bad, it's like the Pokemon can look good, and they do, and I've been going back to the games and having a lot of fun in the games. But this isn't a game that, I think also, this game does not feel like it's in the Pokemon universe. This game just looks like any other video game biome. It's trees, and it's mountain, and it's water. That's it.
Except
and then it has Pokemon, right? But
except bad.
Dusty, dude, you broke me. I missed half of what you just said because I just can't get over Quaxley.
I know. Look at him. Can you even see that? It's insane. I'd never noticed that before.
And we didn't pause it here purposefully.
No, I paused it to make a point, and then, but yeah, and it's not. Again, I'm not trying to be. Listen, a perk is that your mom in this game is a baddie. But we can keep going.
No, he's right though. The characters and the models look good. I agree.
No, I didn't say that. I said the mom
characters look good.
I don't think the characters.
He said the mom's a baddie. The characters look like dolls, and I don't like that.
No, I don't like that.
Well, that's a whole other topic. I'm talking about the.
I don't think the
quality of their build.
No, I disagree.
I don't know what even to say.
I disagree. I think Sword and Shield, again, the art style of that game, the art style of the characters in that game, the human characters. Are faithful.
I agree with you 100%.
The
I'm not saying
established Pokemon style that was has been developed since the beginning with the Sugimori art, right? It's there's a classic, there's an iconic Pokemon look, right? It's intangible, but it's a Pokemon look, and that has been carried up through all the generations. And for some reason, they just ripped it out of this game. I think where this game falls flat and fails is that it is attempting to do. It's attempting realism, which I just don't want in Pokemon. I don't want realism.
I agree.
Look at how horrible that looks.
All of this looks like a demo.
So bad.
Looks so bad.
You know what's crazy?
Compare this.
I remember.
Yeah.
when I was playing through this, I think at this point in the game, like later I would go, oh, this game looks bad. But I don't think I was thinking, oh, this looks horrible when I was playing through this part of the game. But looking back now, I'm like, oh my God, did it really look like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is good, but this is a cutscene.
But this isn't even good, even then, it's not even good.
Even then, the background is not great. I mean,
no, but see, they blurred it. You see, like like glowing blur.
But compare that to like because I think it's the comparable cutscene here. Compare it to the cutscene where you first see Scorbunny, Grookey, and Sobble. And, like, Sobble's, like, playing in a fountain, I think. Grookey's climbing a tree, all this.
Yes,
like,
dude.
And it is light years better.
Mm-hmm. It's so weird. I mean, I don't understand game development, but I don't understand how they did that. Like, is it just because the whole game is running in the background still or something?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I think it's that. I think it's something.
The open world is just taking all of its power to...
And I think also, like I said in the beginning, I get it, right? We are spoiled as Pokemon fans to have a game release every year, more or less, right? We have a plethora of games, right, to play, which is great, and I'm fine with that. And I'm also, I try to be open-minded to, like, fine, we had a gap year, right? There are Pokemon games to play, but yeah, I think these games are rushed. I don't know. They're either rushed or they're not created properly. They're either like a failure of the development or they just need more time and they don't have enough time.
But for the record, even if they are a failure of the development, I think then that can still be chalked up to rush, because at some point you greenlit a game you probably shouldn't have greenlit yet, you know?
And it's not a reflection of like the people making it. It's more of like it's the operation of like, this is a product. This is a business like anything else, right? It just comes down to like decisions.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, with Pokemon especially, well, first I do want to say, at the very beginning of the video, I said I only feel like there's only one game where I feel like it was rushed, and this is the one. All the other games that I have an issue with, Let's Go Pikachu and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, I feel like that was more of an issue of choices than it was the game being rushed. Even if those games were rushed, I still feel like, rushed or not, they would probably stay the same ranking for me. Yeah. But with Scarlet and Violet, they feel rushed, and... I don't know. I feel like with Scarlet and Violet, they pulled an Icarus. You know what I mean?
What?
They flew too close to the sun. Sure. You know the story of Icarus, which might be relevant to Gen 10, honestly. But I think Game Freak pulled an Icarus here. They were so excited to get into the open world that they didn't get the time to do it. But I will say, in fairness to Game Freak, because I don't want to slam Game Freak, I'll slam Scarlet and Violet and say it feels like a rush game, but we don't know whose fault that is, because with Pokemon, there's so many different gears, if you will, that are turning. You have, they're having to promote the TCG, the anime's having to do something, spin-off games, merchandise, and then on top of that, you've got Game Freak, the people who are making the game, but then you also have Nintendo, who has a little bit of say in it too, right? Yeah. Like they can go, for all we know, we don't know that this happened.
Yeah.
But for all we know, Game Freak might have told Nintendo, "Hey, we need another year in Scarlet and Violet." And Nintendo might have looked at them and said, "No, we're getting a holiday game in 2022. Yeah. You're putting out Scarlet and Violet this year." We don't know that happened. I'm not even speculating that did happen, but I'm just saying there are multiple gears, so I'm not. I don't know who to blame for them being rushed,
I think if anything, it wasn't Nintendo, but actually the Pokemon Company, who is a whole nother thing. Because Game Freak is part of the Pokemon Company, but then the Pokemon Company is over all of that. Nintendo actually has had a track record of delaying games that don't look good and like Metroid Prime 4.
The Kingdom got relayed, didn't it?
I think it did get delayed, yeah. And yeah, it did. And Metroid Prime 4 has been delayed like 20 times because it's just they're like, that's not up to our quality. And Nintendo always makes quality things. So it's like, I don't know if it actually was Nintendo. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to push back on like what you guys were saying. I feel like a year of extra time is good to me. Like that, I'm fine with not getting a Pokemon game every year, like, and just getting like a gap year every now and then. But if it ever becomes Metroid Prime 4, that's my biggest fear. Like, that's why
people always say like we only need a game every just give.
Can you explain that? What's the deal with Metroid Prime 4? Because I just
push back against it. It's just like it was announced
at the beginning of the Switch.
When the Switch came out, it was like, oh, we're doing Metroid.
Still isn't out.
No,
still isn't out. So I'm saying like that many years.
We complain about Legends
that many years waiting that many years for it, and that's my fear. That's why I don't push them in the direction of like, oh yeah, take your time, because then they're gonna take their time and we're gonna be sitting here like crying.
Yeah.
And to me personally,
but I also think
I still loved these games though. I gotta say I still loved these games, and the biggest thing
they're number 3 for me.
Yeah, the biggest thing with these games were the bugs. The biggest things were the bugs, though. So, like, if there were no bugs in this game, people would complain about the graphics for sure, but they wouldn't have such a hard time with it. They'd still be like, these are great games, and it's just the bugs.
I don't think
really
it's
I don't think it's
the bugs. I think it's the performance in the presentation of the game. I think that's what it comes down to.
That's what I mean, though. Performance, the performance of like how it works.
But that matters.
I know,
that matters. I think that matters. It's not. It's. There's a difference between the quality of this game and not enjoying it because it breaks immersion, and then criticizing Sword and Shield because there's a version of a tree in that game that looks low poly count, right? I think the difference is that this game, the problems of Scarlet and Violet affect the way you play the game and experience the world.
It looks so bad,
right?
I know, I agree. I agree.
Where that
100%.
tree in Sword and Shield don't matter. That only matters in a Twitter thread. That only matters in an inflammatory YouTube video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I love that you have, as we've been talking about these, had like little things playing, because like you're validifying my opinions on it.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking, you've played Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. You've played on the screen Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, and aside from Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, this looks the worst.
It looks horrible, dude. It looks really so bad.
I don't know what version this guy is playing, but it's bad.
This guy might have his hands on like a beta version, because I do not remember it looking.
I don't remember it being this bad.
Right.
This is the first version. In there. Yeah. I mean,
it has to be like.
And I'm kind of noticing because Soul, you said, and a lot of people say this. They say Legends Arceus is like muddy, and I can kind of see the similarity of like that game in this game, but I think the difference with Legends Arceus is that it's still cinematic. It's still, stealing this from Jake Steinberg, it's authorly, right? It feels like you can see the director behind whatever you're seeing, right? Like when you go into a battle, there's all of a sudden, they say, oh, what if a black bar comes up and down from the bottom and top, so it looks like you're watching a cinematic moment, right? Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that in this game. There's nothing stylistic about this game.
Yes, stylistic, I agree, but I also think that Scarlet and Violet improved on the things that Sword and Shield had issues with, which was the story and the routes. So, like, I really think that their story, the plot of this game, was great. I think that they really did a great job with all of that.
Arguably the best Pokemon story.
And the whole, like, you have 3 different things that you need to do. Like, they tried to make it... there's issues with it too, where it could be like those could have been side quests, and this game was crying for side quests.
Yeah.
But
so like, for listeners, so you're saying like you boot up the game and the main quest is obviously to like get all the gym badges like any other Pokemon game, except because it's an open world, you also in tandem at any rate, you can also go down the quote unquote evil team or battle, right? You can go down the path of fighting all the essentially the raid Pokemon, right? The Titans, right? So that's 3 different pathways. That's 3 different like missions or story modes that you can do, which is actually really, really cool. Okay.
It is.
It was.
How about we give this game its flowers? Can we do that?
Wait. Before you do though, I want to, because it's relevant to what you're saying. I do think you were talking about how like the overall theme with the Switch is like limiting, how I can play the game. And I do hate that they had the audacity to advertise to me that I can do any of it in any order.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But it's literally like, you can't,
No.
Yeah, you can start at the 8th. You can start at the 8th gym if you want, but like they're going to be level 50 where you have, level 10 Fuecoco. And then, if you work your way there, eventually you'll be taking on a level 12 Nimble with your, level 50 Skeletor.
That was the worst part about these games, was no level scaling was so bad.
And not only is there no level scaling, but they had the audacity to like advertise, to use as a push for this game that you can take on the gyms in any order. Like, not really. Like, I guess technically I can, but like,
But it's not fulfilling. Yeah, it's not. It's not.
No,
yeah.
there's no point. There's
no point in doing
that way.
Because you're not. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's you're not rewarded. There's no point in going out of order.
No,
an
not
ideal
at all.
an ideal game would be is that everything scales with you. You know. And here's the thing.
That's a huge topic. The whole level scaling thing.
If we talk about Gen 10 and what we want to see in future games, I think that
they have to.
I think a lot of these problems are things that we absolutely could see, right? So
definitely. And I do think in a lot of these situations, I think that Pokemon was listening to feedback on things. I feel like this is how I kind of feel with Pokemon. Y'all know those old cartoons like Tom and Jerry and stuff where like they'll be on a boat and the boat starts leaking water, and so Tom will like plug one of the holes, but then it spouts in another place. So then he plugs that hole, and now it's and like eventually, this cat is like having to plug like 16 holes with his fingers. And all, like it's like just impossible to, and then eventually the boat explodes.
Yeah.
That is how I feel like Pokemon's doing. Like I feel like they're going, oh, okay, people have a problem with this. Boom, we got it. Oh, okay, but because we focus so much on this problem, we didn't focus at all on this problem. Now we gotta stop that problem. Oh, well, now there's a problem up here. And I feel like they're playing that game, Yeah,
no, totally. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think, like, man, I don't know. Sometimes I catch myself playing this game, and I'll be soaring, and I'm like, did I glitch out? Like, I literally will, like, not sure if I'm, like, I'm not sure if I'm, like, near the ocean or if the game just, like, disappeared. The world disappeared underneath me.
And also, does yours do this thing? Mine mainly does it in the Blueberry Academy, but where like I'll be running, right? And then it'll like pause and then like go really, really fast. Like it's like the game having to catch up with itself. It's like Discord does that. So okay. Yes.
I think there's a lot of really good things that this game does. I think
there is.
The fact that it's open world is great. Right, I think that is cool.
Just then, the world glitched, by the way.
I did see that, yeah.
On the video.
And I think the open world is satisfying in general because I have always thought Pokemon games kind of scratched that itch, even on Game Boy, of an open world game. It was always a sandbox that you could go into and explore. Obviously, throughout the game, it's not a traditional open world where you can go out of order. There were times in Pokemon games where you could go out of order. Which was kind of a nice cherry on top. But I think when you beat the game, the whole thing is open to you. You have all your HMs. You can do whatever you want, right? And I think this feels faithful to that. In post game, it is actually like okay. When I do go back to Scarlet Sword and Shield, I am a little disappointed. Like what we're saying, where I'm like, it would be nice to be able to go to over here or over here. These are all the things that I can see. Why can't I go to them? I think in this game, if it's promising open world, I don't think it reaches its potential. But I think the idea of an open world Pokemon game is still fun. In post game, it's awesome to be able to hit a location, mark a location on my map, and then travel over there, right, and encounter all these different Pokemon along the way.
The only thing is, I with everything that I said about Legends Arceus applies to here as well with the open world. Like, there's so much more that they could do, open world wise.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about it. Like,
they fixed it a little bit with Kitakami and
yes, I agree, but they were smaller though. They were much smaller.
Exactly, but like in base Paldea, the only areas that like kind of stand out to me are like the desert, that little fall trail. I think it's called like SoulSilverArt Trail or something like that.
Sure.
And then the bamboo forest area and like the top right of the map.
Those are the only locations that are like fantastical. Right. Yeah.
But everything else feels the same to me.
I have I'm looking at this,
the snowy mountain doesn't feel like anything. No. It just feels like the same area elsewhere, just now it's colored white. I
totally agree. I'm watching the gameplay, and I think I know where I am now because of what it's showing. But right here, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I couldn't tell you at all where I am on the
you
map.
are.
All I see is grass and a cliff and clouds. That's it.
They just needed more variety.
That guy
in
who's gotten famous on like TikTok or whatever for being able to, you can like take a picture anywhere and he can like pinpoint the exact location.
I don't know that, but there is
Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it with Scarlet and Violet.
No, I don't think anyone could. It makes no sense. So, okay, to also continue to give this thing its proper flowers, if we are considering the Pokemon, I do think that the Pokemon in this game feel unique and feel like a departure. Like, I give it credit for introducing a lot of unique...
actually.
You don't like a departure in Pokemon style?
I do not. No. Oh my gosh. So I like these Pokemon now. Looking back at them, I do like a lot of them. I think that there's a good bunch of them that I really love. But there's some that are so out there that I'm just like, this is so not it. Like the starters. People will know that I don't like the starters. I really do not like any of these starters. Fuecoco's like the only one. They're just too... That you compare them to Gen 2 starters and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah. But also you can transfer in
the
the Gen 2 starters.
Yeah, I think
I'm
some
just
of
saying,
the designs...
like, comparatively design-wise, like the designs, what Lumi's about to say, I think, is that there's just some that are just wacky. And that's
but that's I think that's good. I like wacky.
Jarring.
Even Palafin is growing on me.
I think it's just, Soul and I might be coming from a place of bias too, because, he said it earlier and I agree with him 100%. Gen 8 had like some killer designs. And Gen 7 had some killer designs. So then to kind of go to Gen 9 and it was like, ooh, this is, like some of them just, I don't know. I think I remember describing, and they don't feel this way to me anymore because I'm used to them, but I think I do remember describing them as looking like toys when I first saw them, a lot of them. Like, I'm a big Low Kicks fan, but I remember thinking he looked a little too toy-like.
Sure.
If that makes sense. I hope that's a, good way to describe how I'm seeing them.
Yeah, you're looking at it more, maybe less like a Pokemon and more like a creature, or...
Not even a creature, but like a thing,
A cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't even know, like a bubbly, wacky cartoon.
And then, of course, we've on this show been very critical of things like Palmy, where, just feels a bit lazy, the evolution of it all. Like, Palmy's a good design on its own.
No, I think that's fair.
Dude, to turn that Mon into a 3-stage line, come on, bro.
Yeah, for fear of this turning into an hour-long discussion about the Gen 9 Pokemon, because we can do that, and there are full tier list videos about that. Let's just maybe shelf that.
And there's more coming.
Yeah. I think also, I guess what I'm thinking is, I like the introduction of these convergent Pokemon, right? That's interesting. That's a unique take on what a Pokemon could be.
We just needed more.
Well, we could get them in the future. It's just an introduction of an idea. I think also the Paradox Pokemon are super cool, right? And that whole...
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking about Paldea, if we're talking about Scarlet and Violet, you got the open world, you have all these different these pathways that you can take on your journey, and then all roads lead to Area Zero.
Rome.
Which is so cool, right? Area Zero is really great. I think this game... Yeah, I think Area Zero is really cool. There's so many mysteries.
Area Zero is cool. Now to knock it though, I mean, to advertise in the DLC that you're gonna explore Area Zero, and they kind of did next to nothing with it, really.
Yeah,
that was a bit of a bummer.
Sure.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I think
it was a really cool.
The DLC was really good too. Just gonna say, I do think the DLC was really good.
I like Teal Mask. Did not like Indigo Disc at all.
I don't know how you can say that really though. Okay, just the main little plot of it, but the whole Blueberry Academy and everything you can do in there and the biomes, I thought it was interesting and cool. That's what I'm saying. It's very much more we're talking about the whole open world thing to have different areas that you can distinguish. The biomes did that pretty well.
Oh, I totally agree.
I mean, I like the biomes. The thing is, my game personally, I get that there are people who say they don't have this problem. And
I've never had it.
For you. My game runs very badly.
Because you have the first Switch.
Look, man, I'm begging you. Yeah, I do have the first Switch, but it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that shouldn't. You shouldn't have that experience.
Properly.
I didn't have an OLED. I didn't have a problem with the OLED like at all. I've
never had an issue
I
with
had
OLED.
some problems, but that was it.
But see, that's what I'm saying is I should not have to purchase a different console when the game is supposed to run on my current console.
Sure.
It's hard to say that though. It's just like because they put more the old Switch can't.
Look at that Don Dozo tail in the ground.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? They put more. The old Switch cannot handle what they put into the newer like updates and DLC. You know what I mean?
I do not advertise it as a Switch.
Yeah,
you need to tell you need to be upfront with your audience.
That is still a problem.
Them know, hey, if you play this on a base Switch, this game's gonna suck.
Yeah, I agree.
They could have said that. They could have said that
because it's like that's not Lumi's fault that the game doesn't run properly. It's their part. Anyways, again,
and also, dude, this game came out. This game came out in 2022. I was 21 years old when it came out. I do not have the money to buy a whole freaking new console plus your $60 game.
I agree, man. I agree. I'm thinking right now, and I think with Area Zero and all these other areas that you can traverse, especially in the DLC, I think this game actually, even the caves, I think while there's not a lot to do in the open world game, there still is a huge sense of exploration that is missing from Sword and Shield, right? That's missing from Let's Go and BDSP.
Well, I don't think Sword and Shield was trying to do this though.
Well, and I think Sword and Shield did add it with especially the Crown Tundra. But
that's true.
Argue a little bit with Isle of Armor.
Yeah, no, no, that's a good point. I'm thinking about the main routes that you were discussing, right? The main routes being very linear.
Not great.
Even the wild area, there's nothing to discover in the wild area other than strong Pokemon. But you can't even capture the strong Pokemon until you're at a certain level. So I think going this deep into the core of Paldea was honestly so special, and that whole era, that like the whole 8 months after this game came out, people were obsessed with Paradox Pokemon, Yeah. The concept was so cool. I think the DLC also, what I really like about the DLC is kind of the subject of them. I like that, maybe not mechanically. Like, I think mechanically, they're just additional stories on top of the main story, which is fine. But I think my mind goes crazy when I realize that we are, in an area of Unova that we haven't visited before. We're in the land of Hidekami.
Those were cool,
right? Which is
things like that are cool.
And it's so cool that they brought back, in a similar way to the ancestors of Legends Arceus, we get to meet the children of some of the Unova characters. Like, I think that stuff is a lot of fun. And to get to see,
Terrastol was kind of cool too. Very good for the competitive scene.
Terrastol is such a fun gimmick to play with. Dusty, do you have your Twitter pulled up by chance? Because I just sent you a meme that perfectly sums up how I feel about the Terrastol phenomenon. I love it competitively. It is so fun competitively, best gimmick competitively, but also look at this.
Yeah, I know we needed forms. That would have been nice.
So the meme says, because it's not really showing it here, but it says Pokemon says, oh, your Pokemon will shine and glimmer like gems thanks to the Terrastol phenomenon. And so your expectation is these beautiful, crystalline Crawdonts and stuff, but it's basically just Persian with a ring pop on it.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, bro.
It's true, man. It's true. Lumi, you and I I remember doing a couple long discussion podcasts on your channel right before the launch, and we were like, it's going to be this, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be this. And it ended up being a Persian with a ring pop on its head.
Yeah. But I'm not saying visually. I'm just saying how the mechanic itself was fun.
Yeah, the mechanic itself was so much fun. I just, I feel like a lot of Scarlet and Violet feels like almost false advertising. I feel like there was so much stuff that I was excited to do, and then it let me down. I was so excited to explore more of Area Zero and the DLC, and you didn't really. They even kind of gaslit us into believing that there was this really special tree down there. That was nothing.
I know. Right? I think I was gonna hype up the raids a little bit more. I do think the raids are a core feature of Pokemon going forward in the Switch era. We saw it
they
initially.
also got them to run a lot better.
They do.
In this game.
They look a lot worse, I think. But yeah, they do run a lot better.
Well, the whole game does. So
yeah, I know. And I don't think they look as cool as the Gigantamax forms. You kind of see that, like, you know, in the crystal caves that the Pokemon is reflected much bigger. So there's an image of the Pokemon that's much bigger than how big that Pokemon actually is, which is kind of cool. But I think they're trying to almost imitate what the Gigantamax forms were.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. So overall, and I think, I don't know. I think actually, can we thank our sponsors before maybe going into closing thoughts? What was it, Soul? Yeah, what were you gonna say, Soul?
I was just gonna say, like, overall, I think that these games, while buggy and not really good looking, were fun. I think that they were really fun and really had a good story, so it kept you engaged. And there was really good Pokemon. Like, the Pokemon looked really good. As someone that loves Pokemon and loves battling, like, all of that was good enough for me to put it just like slightly over Legends Arceus, just because it's still a classic. If you want Pokemon, this is classic Pokemon with a good story. And the DLC only improved it for me. So, like, all of that still makes it good enough. It's just performance. The performance was just poor, and that's it. Like you said, Lumi, a lot of good ideas just executed poorly again.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff I think about these games now, I didn't think when I was first playing them. It's now, having had some time and having been picking it back up for, you know, battling people or doing like the Rayquaza raid that we had and stuff like that. Doing those things, like picking it back up, it's only then that, like, I'm starting to realize, like, this runs even worse than I thought it did. Or, like, when we were watching that video earlier when it was showing the trainer pick his starters, and I was sitting there thinking, I do not remember it looking this bad. Like, I knew it wasn't.
I mean, it might be the guy that we're watching too. I don't know if it's like
maybe, but
no, I agree with you. I do agree with you.
And I do think
it looks
you were
worse
talking
than
about the Pokemon looking good, and I want to, on that note, say that one thing I really did appreciate about this game is that they have, like, different models for the Pokemon, like where Heracross.
They actually improved the models. The Pokemon.
He'll like be standing, but you can also, if you send him out over water, he's flying. Like, you can see his wings out flying.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's a small thing. But
when I use Salamence is a heavy Pokemon and isn't floating. It's like actually
they fixed
showing
the
its
T-posing flying Pokemon.
Salamence shows its weight and its strength. Yeah.
All of that being said, I don't know how these games will be remembered. Like, you know, like how there's the whole typical, you know, because right now people in this generation. We're in this generation. Yeah, there's the cycle of, like, you hate it and then eventually people, like, love it and all that. I don't know how well it will be remembered even then, because of how poorly it kind of ran.
Based on my experience,
I think a lot of it will depend on Gen 10 too.
Yes, I think whatever we get with Gen 10, once we're in Gen 10, this is what happens. This is why we're favoring Sword and Shield right now, right? Once we enter Gen 10 and we can enjoy that
compare
game,
it to that kind
then
of
you
thing.
can look at Gen 9 and just accept it for what it was, because we're out of the frustration of the limitations that we currently have, right? Like, I think, like everything,
I just don't know if
Dexit isn't an issue right now.
Yeah, I just feel like it might go down as, like, one of their, not a failure, but, like, one of the games that wasn't their best.
You know what?
Like Unova, even though people have kind of gotten this renewed love for it, people do, like, you know, it's just acknowledged that
it is the worst.
That was not a great performing game, you know, like, well, and even people are like, oh, I like it now. I do remember being livid that, like, it was a bunch of new Pokemon, no old Pokemon.
I was
and
mad.
one of them was an ice cream cone, you know?
Yeah. But I like the trash can, for the record. Dude, this is honestly so sick with the AI Turo. It's actually incredible.
Yeah, that was cool.
Whoa, where's his hand? Where's his hand? Is it in his pocket? Okay.
Yeah. It's actually
I was about
insane.
to say, is his hand missing? You gotta be kidding me. That would, if his hand was missing, there'd just no, like,
I
no
just thought that this guy was
just in the
It
he's
goes to
playing on
zero.
an emulator. That's what it is. He's playing on an emulated version.
No, his hand's in his pocket, I think.
Yeah,
his hand's in his pocket.
And I'm speeding it up. But yeah, I guess, I don't know. So yeah, where does it go? 3?
I'd put it at 3.
I guess
this
that's
would
the list.
be literally my list.
Well, I put
my
it in
list
2.
is very different, but
I put it in 2.
So then you'd move Sword and Shield down to 3?
No, so I think they're tied.
Okay, but you gotta pick one though.
No, you don't.
You do.
No,
you said at the beginning of this that you wanted to have 5.
It's a ranking.
So you can have each of them in there.
You gotta decide which one. No, you gotta decide which
two.
one.
You gotta
They're
decide.
both two.
There
you
has to be a 3.
to decide.
They're both 2. I don't know, man.
Dusty, Junichi Masuda shows up to your house. He puts a gun in your head and he says,
Oh
hey,
my God.
Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. You can only play one. I'm getting rid of the other one forever.
You can only play one for the rest of your life. Which one is it?
I can't play any other Pokemon games.
That's no, just out of these two.
No, just
well, that's the issue because I'm like, I think
he said Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. I am getting rid of one. I'm wiping it from the face.
Sword
of the
and
earth.
Shield is pretty.
You gotta pick one.
Sword and Shield is pretty,
Yeah,
but I'm
so
limited
true.
in what I can use.
Yeah,
Scarlet and
Scarlet and
Violet, I can do whatever I
you can
want, but
play
it's
forever.
hideous.
Okay, well, which do you prefer? Whatever you want in hideous or beautiful and
No, this is. I don't know if this is a fair
not whatever
question.
you
I don't think
would
it's fair,
change-
man. I don't think that's not what
I would
the
change
question-
mine.
you have
too.
to pay. He now has the gun pointed at your dog, Dusty.
No, I just did it like a Jackie Chan judo chop. He's done.
I think we have to.
Keanu
We have
Reeves.
to frame the question differently because that's not a fair.
That's not fair.
question. No, because it's not
Sword and
about.
Shield or Scarlet and Violet. Which
Yeah, that's
is
it.
better?
Just like which would you rather
I
play?
literally think they are tied for because they both have value in different ways.
But which would you rather play?
I'm playing Sword and Shield right now, but truthfully, every night I go, I do kind of want to play Scarlet and Violet and do some shiny raids or some shiny hunting. You know?
Well, let's just
Okay.
go.
Hey,
let's
Dusty,
just go
I'm
off
a-
of what.
What would
you
I
and I
rather
say.
play?
This. I'm a brand new Pokemon fan. And I'm like, hey, Liam, you're my friend, and I don't like Pokemon, but I was thinking about getting into it. I don't want to play Legends Arceus, though.
Nope.
Sword and
that's
Shield
the
or Scarlet
answer.
and Violet. Which one would you
No,
recommend?
the answer is, I would say, hey, little Timmy, play Pokemon Legends Arceus. You will enjoy it if
My
you
name
don't
is
like
Jim
Pokemon.
Willikers, first off.
You have to pick one of those though. Forget.
Okay, yeah,
Listen, they're tied. They're tied.
Dusty. I've actually played
Okay,
Legends
this is creepy.
and I'm wanting to pick a
you
new
can't do that
Pokemon
voice.
game.
You can't
Would
do that
you
voice.
recommend to me Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet?
I would say, you know what? Go play Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
No, you gotta
Okay,
be
but
serious.
after that, Sword and Shield or Scarlet and
I
Violet?
literally can't decide. I think they're equal
Alright,
for the
I'll be
same
the- I'll be
reason.
You're not my friend anymore.
Jim,
Listen, I'll be the
Jim
tiebreaker.
Willikers, I don't want to be your friend. You keep talking like that.
I'll be the
This
tiebreaker.
is my voice.
Hey, let's thank
Unless
our sponsors.
You want to?
Okay,
Maybe.
we want to thank all of our sponsors, but we want to give a special shout out to our Mythical Tier supporters. I have to prep myself now because there are so many of y'all.
This is
Hayden
the
Segal, Ryan, Amphosinus, Cornet Highlander, Chris, Tyler Low 15, Primal Gray, Case, Stills, Sully the Skeleton, NMTRs, Gray Williams, Papa Nido King, Northender, Travis Mashburn, Matt Hale, and the Pokey Kid 01.
what up?
Thank you all.
This is like the
So
Pokey
many.
rap.
I know, right? The Arceus tier supporter, Red, we want to thank you as well. And we want to give a Gigantamax size shout out to our Game Freak Inc. level members, Young Smokey and Bramtastic.
If you guys, thank you guys so much. In Red, I actually, upon your request, you sent us your address. I sent you your card, your holiday card. It is a little
Hopefully
late.
you will see this.
But we got your address a little late, so you should have that by now. Thank you everyone for the continued support. It's because of you guys that we're able to make videos and podcasts like this as consistently as we have been able to. If you want your name read on the show, if you want to be acknowledged, if you want to support the show, $5 gets you in the door. The higher tiers will be read on the podcast, but for just $5, not only do you get access to the secret Discord where you can join the Battle League, where you can hang out and chat with us, where you can join in on our, we did a really cool call-in show in the secret Discord. What was it, 2 weeks ago?
About 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, and,
Maybe
we want to do more in the future. Our community members were able to actually be on a podcast with us. But also...
We have one planned for February, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yep. And and once you become a member on YouTube or on Patreon, you get access to, I don't even know how many hours we have of bonus content, of bonus podcasts. A lot of people are going back to work. They're going back to the gym. They're getting back into their yearly, daily, weekly routines. And a lot of people are looking for more podcast content to listen to. Mm-hmm. We've been putting out a lot of VODs. some to the public, but a lot of my playthroughs on this channel are only available to YouTube channel members and Patreon members. I'm actually going to be later this month releasing some, they've been privated, but these are my first playthroughs. They're VODs of my first playthroughs of Scarlet and Violet. And that's like 10 hours of content that you could sign up for and get access to. Not only that, all of our Secret Power episodes. So we're really trying to pad out the content for you guys who have been supporting us in 2025. Final ranking, I'm telling you, I really don't know how to place these because...
All right, I'll tell you how we do it, though. Me and Lumi both think that Sword and Shield is better, so that means that Scarlet and Violet has to go in 3.
Okay. Wait, no. But you ranked... Yep. No, you ranked Scarlet and Violet
I ranked
3.
it like that, just in a different order, but the same. Does that make sense? Like, Scarlet and Violet is right under...
You would just move Arceus below those two.
Arceus is 3.
What's all of our ranking for Scarlet and Violet?
Mine is 3.
And mine is 2.
Oh, yours is 2.
But it doesn't matter because I have Arceus down at 3.
So where does Sword and Shield go?
It goes
what's your ranking for Sword and Shield? Yours is 2, mine is 2. For Soul, it's 1. So it would go 2, and Scarlet and Violet would go 3.
All right, this is the ranking then. I don't know.
That's the rank.
Yeah, I don't like the... So, again, I think the way I'm looking at this is that all of these Pokemon games have value and are worth replaying, right?
I think up to number 3, yes.
I think 1 through 3 has a lot of value and is worth replaying. And if you have not played 1 through 3, you should pick that up and play it. If you haven't played 4 through 5, congratulations. You've lucked out.
You won.
You didn't endure that.
I was gonna say just like farewell to the Switch era, but we still have Legends ZA.
Yeah, that's true.
Legends ZA is going to. I when I came up with this idea, I didn't come up with it, but when I thought about doing this idea, I was like, this is cool. But then I totally forgot that we still are gonna have to put Legends ZA in here somewhere at some point.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support us on Patreon or YouTube, you can become a member. $5 gets you into the door, into the secret Discord, and you get access to, I want to say 50 hours of content. There's got to be over 50 hours of content.
Probably over.
Of bonus content. So if you're in the gym, you're going back to school, you going back to work, and you need a buddy, you want to hear us yap on your long commute, that would help the show a lot. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Switch era Pokemon game is. All right? I'll see you guys. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.